Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this month's ANP live stream. Got some jazz going in the background just because I feel kind of frisky today. Not really. Got my cup of coffee here. I am feeling very autumnish today. So it's kind of weird because the weather has been absolutely insane because it's been so warm here where I am, and deer season is starting on the 9th, and well, I'm a little nervous. Usually I'd like the warmth, and I have been enjoying the warmth, but goddamn, deer don't like warm. Anyhow, again, I wish to welcome you to the stream. Welcome Justin, welcome Godzilla Kiru. Hi, Adam. Nice to hear from you again. I made it back just in time to start the podcast. Well, thank you very much. Glad you could join. Godzilla Kiru, hey. Glad I could check out the live stream, even if it's until MOM comes on. Yeah, well, I see where your priorities lie. My friends decide to live stream as well. Well, that's boring. No. It's just going to be me for a little while. Supposedly, Antonio's supposed to join me a bit later on in this stream, and that's when things will probably start getting a little crazy. However, he's kind of gone silent on me, so it might just be me sitting here doing nothing for the entire time. I don't really know. So, either way, welcome everybody, and let me just start by saying this right now. What a hell of a Godzilla day. This was amazing. I mean, let alone the two short films, right? The two short films, which I thought were amazing, by the way. I watched them both properly. I stayed up way too late and watched them on the live stream. I was very happy to see them, and I was very impressed with both. But in particular, I was very impressed with the Suitmation one because that's a lot of work. Now, I don't really know the true backstory of the Suitmation short films that Toho has been making for 50th anniversary. This is now the second year that they've done that. Of course, they did Godzilla vs. Hedorah the year before that. I don't really know much of the behind-the-scenes story, other than the fact that I think it's kind of cool that they got to use some of the Final War suits, even though I don't really care for those Final War suits in the context of that film. What's interesting about the Godzilla vs. Gigan short film is that they actually built a custom Showa-era Gigan, which was awesome. And they also were able to finally get Godzilla's mouth to articulate, which, if you watch the Godzilla vs. Hedorah one, that wasn't the case. There was clearly the production value got stepped up on that, which is so funny, because what the hell are they going to do for Godzilla vs. Megalon? How are they going to treat Jet Jaguar? How are they going to treat this? And I'm super excited for that. Embrace the ridiculousness of Godzilla vs. Megalon. And you know that little, like, teaser that they sort of said, like, wait till next year, with, like, that little cartoon that they drew? I was so excited. I will say this. I think Godzilla vs. Megalon is a more entertaining movie than Godzilla vs. Gigan. I think Godzilla vs. Gigan is by far the better made movie, but I think Godzilla vs. Gigan is just utter ludicrous in every way, shape, and form. But I really enjoyed that Suitmation short film. I really liked that. The Godzilla franchise celebrated its... Oh, well, I can bring that up. Yeah. Oh, I gotta fix that. Give me one... The thing that I really enjoyed about that particular short film, and why I like the Godzilla vs. Hedorah one too, is that they just totally embrace the old style of special effects, and totally embrace the fact that it is Suitmation. They go for the Suitmation. They embrace the Suitmation, which I think is really cool. Quite frankly, I think it is more impressive the fact that they use suits, regardless if they built them or not. Again, with Godzilla vs. Hedorah, they didn't build either of those. Both of those are used in Final Wars, which, by the way, the fact that those suits are in such good condition after let's see, it's been like 15 years since that came out, and the fact that that Final War suit is still good, I think is really interesting. And I don't think that was the actual Final War suit. I think that was the promo Final War suit that you saw during like the Godzilla Walk of Fame and all that stuff. Hence why he had like no articulation on the first film. So it's really interesting on this one to see him using roar and show some expression within the Godzilla vs. Gigan one. And I gotta give the filmmakers also props, because they went for Showa Gigan. They didn't go insane like in Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, which I will get to, where it was... They didn't go over the top with a character design that was already over the top. They didn't Final Wars eyes it. You know, and I love Final Wars, but I just don't... I think that Gigan is so outlandish with a kaiju that was already outlandish to begin with. That's what I found cool about that, is that they really went... They stuck to their guns, and they went really Showa-era looking Gigan, which was fantastic. And also, I got to give them props for some of the really cool and innovative cinematography that they used in the film as well. Like, I love the one where it goes from point... It's a dolly shot that goes from right to left, and it almost goes inside of a miniature building. And you see all the chairs and stuff like that, like getting flopped around because of these two giant monsters duking it out in the city, and then it just keeps going. And I'm like, that was a really cool looking shot. In fact, I can't really think of another film that really did that to that extent. The only other time that I can think of something that was kind of similar to that, but it really wasn't, was in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. There are two shots in that. One is where Ghidorah flies over Shindo's building, and you see the glass shatter, and all the people go, ah! You know, that was more typical. But the other one was the two news cameramen that are filming as Godzilla falls into the building directly in front of them. It kind of reminded me of that, but actually cooler. I really like that shot. Yeah. Of course, I wanted some gore. I wanted more gore. I especially wanted to see Gigan slice Godzilla's shoulder, which they kind of do in Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, but it's just not quite the same. There's no the shooting vibrantly colored red blood that you see within the original Godzilla vs. Gigan that I kind of liked. I mean, that shot always stuck with me as a kid anyways. You know, Godzilla bleeding. That was a huge deal. Granted, I saw Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla before Godzilla vs. Gigan, so I've kind of seen him literally turned into a blood pinata beforehand, but you know, it is what it is. I just really enjoyed it. Dumb, simple fun. Godzilla's a hemophilia. Godzilla has hemophilia confirmed. Yes, he is actually a member of the Romanov family, believe it or not. Godzilla is confirmed a member of the Romanov family, which, if you're a history buff, you'll understand that and the significance of what I've just said about that. God damn. Let's see, what do some of these comments say? I loved both the shorts, though I like the Suitmation one more because of the characterization of the monsters. Yes, I agree. That's another thing that I liked about that. And again, I think that is the benefit of doing Suitmation that the CGI film didn't have. Which, by the way, I want to say this right now. The CGI film was very good. It was fun, and it was a very radical, different approach to Godzilla vs. Gigan. In fact, it had almost End of Eva vibes to it. But, again, Suitmation has an actual actor inside of that suit. So you're going to get more character out of it. There's a guy actually kind of maneuvering... There's a guy maneuvering that thing around. You know, you can... There's one reason why you can tell it's a Haruo Nakajima Godzilla or a Kenshiro Satsuma Godzilla film by the way how they brought character to those monsters. And again, that wasn't really present in the CGI one. The CGI one more focused on spectacle and sort of the grand scale of a battle like that. And like, of course, that film also had like multiple Gigans and multiple stuff like that. So that in itself, you see, I might as well kind of get into that because these are very short films. They're very simple. What I liked about Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex is they really played up the cyborg element of Gigan, which was awesome. Like, I love the buzzsaw stuff and how, like, it clearly was a machine and everything like that. Like, that stuff I fucking loved. Just because it was a new interpretation of that character, which was great. You know, I don't mean to bring it up in terms of, you know, this being the new Reiwa era of Godzilla stuff, but for good and for bad, what I've loved that Toho and everyone has been really doing, especially Japan with Godzilla, is they're at least trying to do some new stuff with the character and new stuff with the monsters that isn't just retreads or nostalgia trips of the original, particularly the Showa era films. And I enjoyed those. For good and for bad. Like the anime trilogy, I have not seen Singular Point yet. I still haven't seen that. But the anime trilogy, the 3 anime films, I enjoyed immensely. Not in terms of the movies themselves, but just the fact that I was watching something that was different. This was not your typical Godzilla comes out and destroys a city kind of movie. And that's what I kind of liked about Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, because Gigan Rex, it's basically its own kaiju. Gigan Rex is like Kaiser Ghidorah and stuff like that. Basically, it's now become its own kaiju. But it was such a new, radically different take on Gigan that I really enjoyed. And it wasn't just him being controlled by aliens and stuff like that. It was just so radically different than what we've seen before. The 3 movies we've seen him in, and also the Zone Fighter show and all that jazz. So it was a lot of fun. I want to know what you guys thought, if you guys saw them at all. I know, Godzilla Kiru, you said you saw both of them, and you preferred the Suitmation one. I think that's the general consensus I've gotten from fans, is that they preferred the Suitmation one. And you know why I think that's the general consensus? And it's because of what I said earlier. It's suits. They are men in suits. I don't know if any of you guys can remember, but there was a big, giant fan film on YouTube forever, directed by Billy DeBose, called Godzilla Battle Royale. And Billy DeBose is a cool guy. I talked to him several times, and we're still kind of friends. And it looked ridiculous. The movie looked ridiculous. It was clearly low budget. The audio was terrible. The cameras were crap. But you know what was really freaking cool about that? It was men in suits. Every single kaiju that was in that film, with like 2 exceptions, was a guy in some sort of custom-made costume. And there were a lot of them in Godzilla Battle Royale. Even some non-Godzilla stuff. Jacob Baker worked on that. Jacob Baker, the kaiju maker. I haven't talked to him forever, but he worked on that. And I was very sad to see it taken down, that it got taken down from YouTube. I don't think Toho is who knocked it down. I wish Billy DeBose, if he watches this, because I know he watches my stuff sometimes, if he can confirm what got him removed. Because boy howdy, do I know that people who uploaded the Godzilla vs. Gigan shorts, they are getting screwed by Toho right now. They're getting their account shut down. Because once again, Toho has proven that they take copyright to its furthest extreme. And they want to have an iron fist over what they think is their babies. Which, granted, that is their right. It is literally their baby. So that is their right. But anyways, Godzilla Battle Royale was awesome because of the amount of suits in it. Even though the suits look terrible, several of them just look utterly terrible, they were still men in suits destroying miniature buildings. And I'm like, that was great. That was wonderful. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, he actually gave it to me on DVD as a present, which I was extremely grateful for. So I still have it. I still have it. I have not watched it in a long time, but I will never forget it. And I just thought it was a total blast and pure insanity on its greatest level. In many ways, it was even more crazy than Godzilla Final Wars. But if you really look at it, like, what the movie's actually about. But anytime I see that they're actually using suitmation in one of these, even if it's not a Godzilla thing, if it's just, you know, a kaiju film, an independent kaiju film in general, where they just buckle down and say, no, we're going to do a man in a suit, I immediately get a smile on my face and like it even more. Even if you can see the wrinkles in the costume and all of that, and you can see the the seams and some of that stuff. There's something about tokusatsu in general that I'm like, that is just so freaking cool. Which is so rare, because nowadays it's nothing but CGI. CGI everything. And that's your answer for all special effects, is CGI. Like, even the stuff that you see on, like, the Mandalorian, which has those giant, those 3D screens and stuff like that, that you can sort of put them in every environment. Those are still CGI. Those are still forms of CGI, in my opinion. Like the fact that they made Werner Herzog's, it wasn't a set. It was something that was built, and then they just used those projectors to, or those giant screens to make it up. Like, that's cool and kind of sad to me all at once. Like, you guys couldn't build a set, really? Come on, you're fucking Disney. But all of a sudden you have a guy using old school special effects with miniature buildings blowing up. That's one reason why I like Shin Godzilla so much, is that a lot of the buildings blowing up and stuff like that wasn't CGI, it was miniatures. Miniature stuff exploding and everything like that, which I just love. And there's a realness to it that CGI just will never get. And the biggest thing to me that Suitmation has above any other form of special effect out there, be it stop motion, computer-generated imagery, even puppetry, which I guess sort of goes into Suitmation, but I'm talking about, like, the Frank Oz stuff and stuff like that. Suitmation has weight to it because there's actually weight there, which is wonderful. When Godzilla stomps his foot down on a set, he's actually stomping his foot down on that set, and there's weight behind it. You see the ground shake a little. You see the suit react because of the forcefulness of that step. And that's something that's very hard to replicate in CGI. CGI, there is no weight. It's totally weightlessness. It's all math. So, rarely have people gotten it right. Two movies that got it really right was Godzilla 2014 and Pacific Rim. Those are two recent kaiju films that really got it right. And I think Shin Godzilla, to an extent, got that weight correct, except for some stuff towards the ending of the movie. But Suitmation, you don't have to worry about that, because it's all right there. Stop motion, you have a hard time with weightlessness, because you're using such a light puppet, and you have to know how to move it frame by frame to really sell it. Ray Harryhausen was truly the master at that. He was very good at making you sell a giant monster, particularly Talos from Jason and the Argonauts. Like, that's one of my favorite examples of stop motion looking really good and really heavy and really bulky, and adding a lot of heft to their character. When you look at some of the other people, you know, around those same times. Like, I look at a movie called Dinosaurus, which uses stop motion animation, just like a Ray Harryhausen movie, but it's missing that Ray Harryhausen charm. Like, seriously, you watch the movie and you'll see what I mean when you watch the stop motion animation in Dinosaurus versus, let's say, the Valley of Gwangi, or even 1 million years BC. There's no competition of which one's better and who has mastered the craft better. I still love Dinosaurus. It's still got moments in it that genuinely creep me out. And the score for that movie in particular is absolutely wonderful. But yeah. That's just an example that, and again, to wrap that up, Suitmation, you don't have to worry about any of that. Don't have to worry about any of that. The problem, though, with Suitmation is Suitmation has a hard time with flying monsters, I've noticed. Very hard time. Look at the Heisei era. All of their monsters that flew were always kind of stiff and bulky, or too stiff. Destroya was really bad. As much as I love that movie. I mean, it's my third favorite Godzilla movie. But it was just very bulky and stiff. So you had to kind of run into that problem and stuff like that. The best the Heisei era ever got was Mothra. Not Batra, but Mothra. And even then it was still kind of stiff. I think the best for flight animation I've seen in a tokusatsu movie or Suitmation was, I think, in Invasion of Astro Monster. I think it was that one with King Ghidorah taking off and jumping and flying all over the place. I think he did great with that. I was going to mention Destroy All Monsters, but you got to admit that Rodan looks pretty stiff when he's flying around over Tokyo during the big attack scene about halfway through the movie. Again, if it sounds like I'm complaining about those movies, I fucking love all of those movies to no end. Just an observation. I just love Suitmation. It will always be my favorite. And the other reason why I kind of mentioned this was something I brought up earlier, and that was there's an actor in there. There's an actor inside that suit, which is something that I think Toho has always had above all the other tokusatsu kaiju films out there. Is Toho had a collection of actors that they basically played their characters. Because you have Haruo Nakajima and stuff like that, but you had one actor that usually played the monster throughout a vast majority of the film. And that's so something really dangerous. Look at Godzilla or King Kong versus Godzilla. That wasn't Haruo Nakajima breaking out of the iceberg or walking in the water in that film. And as a result of that, you kind of get more of a character as a result of all that. And I think that's one reason, one of many, why Godzilla was so successful. Because you look at Gamera. Let's look at Gamera for a second. Showa era Gamera. That was played by a bunch of different people. And it shows. He doesn't have any character. He really doesn't have any character throughout any of those movies. If you really... Anybody could have played him. But only Haruo Nakajima could have played Godzilla. And just to sort of prove just how important he was, look at the difference between the performance in Godzilla vs. Gigan to Godzilla versus Megalon. Totally different performance. In almost every way. A different performance. From the way how Godzilla walks to the way how he carries himself in battle. Totally, radically different. In just one movie. And it's because I think a lot of that isn't just the writing. I think it's because Haruo Nakajima was not inside that suit. He left by that point. Anyways, let me actually read some of these comments that are coming in. Let's see. I remember that fan film. I like it. Cool! Let somebody else remember that. I remember after seeing it, I wanted to make my own, but because of money, having little to no friends who liked kaiju stuff and whatnot, that urge fell. Though something I'd love to work on is my own. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where you're from, Godzilla Kiru, but boy, howdy, can I relate to that, especially when I was in high school. But in some ways, I did manage to make my own kaiju film with FM 132.9, and I got very lucky with that. By far, my most critically successful film was FM 132.9. Let's see. I have that one restaurant in Monsters, Inc. to thank for introducing me to Ray Harryhausen. I got you. That restaurant. It took me. I thought you were saying restraint for a second. I was like, was that a typo? No, Justin. I get what you're saying. Yes, I know what scene you're thinking of. That was not how I was introduced to Ray Harryhausen. I was introduced to him around that same time, but that was not how I was introduced to him. But yes, that's one of those references that as you get older, you're like, aha. Doctor? Me personally, I think Mothra vs. Godzilla has the best flying animation because the suit itself... You know what? You're fucking right, Justin. What was I saying earlier? Mothra vs. Godzilla's is phenomenal in every way, shape, and form. I don't know, what was it in 1964? Because, I mean, you look at that and even what he did in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, it's extremely impressive. And even Dogora. Dogora is another flying monster, and that looks pretty cool. Granted, that's a space jellyfish, but even that was how it was brought to life in a tank and everything like that. That was really cool. Man, was Toho on their A game that year. Was his special effects crew in particular on their A game. Can I say that about the writing? No. Dogora the Space Monster is an extremely weak film. Definitely not one of Honda's best. Or Shinichi Sekizawa's, for that matter. But special effects are great in that film. But you're absolutely right about Mothra vs. Godzilla being the best flight, because, the amount of articulation in that Mothra prop, that puppet, is amazing. To this day, even in the CGI iterations of Mothra, I do not think she's ever been brought to life in such an amazing way, in such a lifelike way, than in the original 1964 Mothra vs. Godzilla. You're absolutely right about that, Justin. Don't listen to me. You know what? Tune out of the stream. Stop watching. Go home. Get a life. Yes. It was wonderful. And the way how they got the timing perfect on that too, where Mothra flaps her wings and she'll suddenly lift and then she'll lower and then she'll lift and then she'll lower as she flies, and it's great. And they got the motion of gliding perfect. Like, you know where she gets blasted with Godzilla's atomic breath on the wing and she's flying towards the egg that last time before she lands on it? They nailed the look of gliding as she lands. And as she lands, I also love the little touch of her lifting up and down a little bit as if she's struggling to breathe. And again, that's just genius. Absolutely genius work, and it totally sells. That also brings up another point before I go on to the next thing. That's one reason why I disagreed with one of my old film professors. They said kaiju movies or movies with monsters, giant monsters in them, should not be shot in anamorphic widescreen because the screen is too wide and you need it to be tall. Mothra vs. Godzilla and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster are my two favorite counterpoints to that argument. Because, well, yes, if you look at it, you have much less room on the vertical side of the screens than the horizontal side of the screen. Both of those movies had an extremely large kaiju in it that fit the horizontal nature of that screen. And plus, there's just kaiju action galore in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, so... Yeah, I've always used that. I've always used that as a counterpoint to his argument. Anyway, it's the best flying animation because the suit itself had multiple points of articulation, each moving independently. Just the legs alone. You had the head that could bob around. You had the legs that were bobbing around. It was phenomenal. And it was more than that. I think even the body itself could move in certain ways. I know it took like 20-something people to do Ghidorah on his first couple movies, which explains why he's so stiff in Godzilla vs. Gigan, because they just didn't have the manpower to do that. Probably had half that, if that. But I couldn't imagine how many was for Mothra. The only other thing that I can think rivals Mothra in that movie and Ghidorah, the original Ghidorah, is Biollante in 1989. The amount of wires that they needed to articulate that. It's really impressive stuff. I thought you were going to use Son of Godzilla as an example. Hiroshi Sakita played the Mozuku Koji suit, as it was much larger in size. Yeah, but he was also Haruo Nakajima's, like, protege. You know? Haruo Nakajima was on set all the time on that film as well, to sort of give him pointers. Haruo Nakajima also played Godzilla in that film, in the water sequences. There was another actor, too, I guess, who played Godzilla in a couple scenes, but I guess he broke his hand during the production of that movie. So he got replaced by Sakita. But Haruo Nakajima was there on set, constantly guiding him as an actor and stuff like that. It's a shame that Godzilla vs. the Thing cuts off the yes, because that is so bullshit, too. What Classic Media did there. They said they just didn't have the print for it. I'm like, that's bull crap. Anyways, you can find a full restoration of Godzilla vs. the Thing online if you know where to look for, you know, if somebody, you know, kind of archived it, if you know what I mean. Because that's how I have it. It's also how I have Godzilla 1985. The American version of Godzilla versus, of Destroy All Monsters. And stuff like that as well. And Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. So what the hell else am I supposed to talk about here? So I talked about that. Let's talk about this, because I want to talk about the new Godzilla film last. Fucking John Carpenter, man. That guy is amazing. He's such an old man. I mean, it is kind of sad to see John Carpenter so old. It really is, because you can tell he's slowed down. He's not as articulate anymore in terms of what he's saying, but you can see how much he genuinely loves these movies. Now, I don't think he loves them for necessarily some of the ways that, like, I love them, and maybe some of you guys love them. I think he embraces the silliness a little bit more than a lot of us do. And I think that was very interesting in the Fandango interview he did. A Zoom interview that he did, where he didn't really give too many answers, but you could see his genuine love and affection for these movies. Like, he started talking about War of the Gargantuas, and he said, any movie where a girl starts singing, the words get stuck in my throat, and then gets eaten by the green gargantua gets an A in my book. It's just awesome. And he's absolutely right in that. But when I saw the teasers that Shout TV was doing for that, I was super stoked. Because I know John Carpenter, for the longest time, has loved talking about Godzilla, has defended Godzilla. I don't know if any of you guys remember a TV thing called Animal Icons on Animal Planet. In their first episode, they devoted just to Godzilla, and John Carpenter played a big role in that. And that was really fun, you know, like watching him talk about it. He's got Godzilla figures all throughout his place and stuff like that. It's really funny. Like, I never would have expected that, but in some ways it makes sense. Because, I mean, the way how he reveres the original Godzilla, as he should. The movie's a masterpiece in every way, shape, and form. Godzilla versus... the original Godzilla, and even Rodan, 1956, work both as, like, a horror movie as well as a science fiction movie. As well as a fantasy movie. You know, it's got all these elements in it. That I just love. Now, he did this Master of Monsters thing that he's got going on. And what's interesting about John Carpenter... he's just a case of somebody who you never expected to talk about these. You never expected to see such a revered director really go, you know what? These are good movies. And, like, I was watching what Shout TV was putting on, this Masters of Monsters thing. And I know it's going on right now, but or it's going on at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for me. But I was watching his stuff where he was talking about Rodan. Because, honestly, I was more interested in hearing him talk about those than the original Godzilla. But he brought up the original writer for the film. Not Takeo Murata. Or Takashi Kimura, I should say. Not Takeo Kimura. Not that guy. Takashi Kimura. He brought up the original novelist Tomoyuki Tanaka hired, and where that guy got the inspiration for Rodan. That shit hardly anybody knows about. and yet here he is talking about it. And he said something very interesting in that Fandango interview that I was watching him on. And he said, you can make a movie about the people who made the Godzilla movies. And you absolutely can, because they are so crazy. And that's something that the Showa era has above all the other eras in Godzilla. Even though the Heisei era is my favorite, the colorful cast of characters behind the scenes of the making of those movies, like Ishiro Honda, Shinichi Sekizawa, Takashi Kimura, Eiji Tsuburaya, Inoue, I forgot his first name, but his last name's Inoue. Even Ifukube, they're crazy. These are fascinating characters, and I'm like, they're just rife to make an Ed Wood style movie about Ishiro Honda, making these yeah, I'll say it. There's these stupid giant monster movies. I mean, you look at his later career, my God, they got just absolutely ludicrous. It's also interesting that John Carpenter chose nothing but Ishiro Honda movies. He didn't choose any of he specifically picked these movies. It wasn't Shout Factory giving him a list. These were specifically chosen by him, and he thinks these movies best represent this type of film, which is very interesting, and I actually agree with his list quite a bit. But, you know, I talked about this on one of my previous videos where Criterion just picked Ishiro Honda movies. And John Carpenter said something interesting. He was like, there's something about Ishiro Honda that he always brought something more to these movies than anybody else really brought. It's very similar to Terrence Fisher over in Hammer. Terrence Fisher, there's something about Terrence Fisher that whenever it was his name on the director's list, or on the director's credit, working on these horror films, it was good. It was just somehow better than the other ones. Even his weaker films, like his Phantom of the Opera remake, which isn't a very good movie, it's still got some really great moments in it that really sets it apart from the movies like Roy Ward Baker, who's another good director. He's just not as good. He's just not as good as Terrence Fisher. It's the same with Ishiro Honda. And also, I think it has to go with the tones of the movies as well. I think Ishiro Honda was miscast as a director on several occasions, particularly King Kong Escapes and Latitude Zero. I don't think Ishiro Honda was the right director for that. Space Amoeba is another. He just was not the right director for that. That should have been somebody like Jun Fukuda, somebody of that caliber, who was more like, no, I'm going to make an action movie, and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that comes down to the seriousness of Ishiro Honda. He just treated his shit so seriously. Like, every one of his projects, no matter how ludicrous they were, and everyone has said this about him in interviews talking about Ishiro Honda, it's just how serious he took these projects. And it shows in the movies, particularly his earlier work. Because, I mean, let's look at Mothra, for example. Mothra is a ludicrous movie. It is absolutely ridiculous in every way, shape, and form. I mean, really break it down. It's about a guy that goes to this radioactive island, finds two miniature women who sing to a giant flying moth god. That's silly. It's very, very silly. But somehow, Ishiro Honda, because of the seriousness of his direction, made it work. And I think a lot of that was to offset that. The absolutely, as David Callett would put it, the demented imagination of Shinichi Sekizawa. Fucking A, dude. I just love that shit. I love it. I love it so much. Mothra is such a good movie. I'm kind of surprised Mothra isn't on that list. I'm really not. I'm really surprised. And that might be a rights thing. But it doesn't surprise me that Carpenter would pick Rodan over Mothra, because he admits that he likes the ridiculousness of like a movie of War of the Gargantuas, where it's just fun. It really is. I mean, there's some deep stuff with the kaijus themselves, and there's, you know, biblical references in there to Cain and Abel, and allusions in there. I shouldn't say references. Allusions in there. But my God, is War of the Gargantuas fun as well. You know, it's not just deep, it's a load of fun. Like, as a kid, I loved it because it was two monsters beating each other up in a miniature city, and stuff was getting destroyed, and there were explosions going on. It was wonderful. And even as an adult, I still adore that stuff. But as an adult, you see some of the more nuanced stuff about it. But Rodan, it does kind of fit John Carpenter because he does like those atmospheric pieces. Like you look at his movie The Fog, for example, which is my personal favorite film that he's directed, is The Fog. It's not an overtly scary movie, but goddamn is that atmosphere great. And that's something that Rodan has in droves, is the atmosphere. In either version, by the way. I think the Japanese version is overall superior in terms of its quietness and its somberness and just that lack of an actual soundtrack for large chunks of sequences in that film really sell an atmosphere of like uneasiness and stuff like that. Though I'll still say this, the American version, the attack sequence where Rodan actually shows up and destroys the city, way better handled than the American version. Better edited, better paced, better sound effects, way better than in the Japanese one. There's just some edits in the American version. That's what I want to make clear, is that there's just some edits in the American version of Rodan that I think are superior to the Japanese cut. But what the Japanese cut will always have over the American version is that atmosphere. So it doesn't really surprise me there. But I'm just really happy that he's doing this. I'm just so happy because he's also an accredited director. You know what I'm saying? The only other time that I can really think of is somebody huge actually talking about movies like this and mentioning them in such an absolutely pure delight was when Tom Hanks presented Ray Harryhausen with the Lifetime Achievement Academy Award. And he said, some people say Citizen Kane. Tom Hanks said, some people think Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made. I say Jason and the Argonauts is the greatest movie ever made. And the thing is, he meant it. And you can tell that he meant it. Same with Brad Pitt also, for some reason, loves War of the Gargantuas. He's talked about how he absolutely loved those movies. And I'm like, that's really funny, watching him talk about these movies and stuff like that. I mean, who the hell wouldn't like these movies, guys? Who the hell wouldn't like these movies, or at least enjoy them? Especially boys. Sorry, girls, but, you know, there's far more men that like this stuff than girls, which I'm very happy to see that girls are really getting into it now and stuff like that, too, but maybe I should address some of these comments. I'm very sorry. Let's see. It's a shame that Godzilla vs. I did that. Speaking of Godzilla versus the Thing... Yeah. Oh, duh. I gotcha. No November participant. Hey. How you doing? I can't say I'm partaking. I am doing the No Shave November though. I am doing that. Hi everyone. Also, John Carpenter is pretty cool. Damn straight, he's pretty cool. He's pretty damn cool. Also, I love his music. I can't say that enough. John Carpenter's music is amazing. It's so simple, but so great. I don't remember that, unfortunately. Well, okay. And yeah, and Godzilla vs. the Thing is the English language of Mothra vs. Godzilla. Oh, yeah. I remember first hearing about that from Cinemassacre's Monster Madness Godzilla-thon about it. Yeah, you know what was really funny? I've really gotten to Halloween this year. Like, I just really did. Like, I was watching horror movies all the time. I was watching... we watched Halloween. In fact, I'm going to talk about that with Antonio when I bring him on a little later. But we watched Halloween on Halloween, and the original one, the 1978 John Carpenter film. And I watched a lot of Cinemassacre stuff. I watched his old Cinemassacre Monster Madness ones, and I really admire his passion for it, especially Universal Monsters. I really admire that. Like, I wish I could get into it that much. Like, I love Universal Monsters, but I think I would be that towards Hammer if I had to pick a horror bunch to really focus on, because, man, do I love Hammer horror. I just love Hammer horror. I think it's a bit ironic that Honda is so closely associated with Showa Godzilla. Out of the 25 kaiju and tokusatsu films he directed, only 8 of them were Godzilla films. Well, that's just it. He's most associated with Godzilla because Godzilla is, of course, the franchise that has lived on, of course. However, he's made so many other movies. Rodan, Mothra, Dogora, Matango, Atragon, Varan, these aren't kaiju films, but Battle in Outer Space, The Mysterians, Latitude Zero, Space Amoeba, King Kong Escapes, Frankenstein Conquers the World. If I haven't said War of the Gargantuas, War of the fucking Gargantuas. This man was a master of monsters. That title fits him so well. Even though that's not the type of movie that he wanted to make. He wanted to make lower... He wanted to make women's movies. That's what he wanted. That's what he's being groomed to make. He wanted to make character pieces on par with somebody like... is it Mikio Naruse? I think that was his name. Very similar to his works, but... You know... He had a fluke, as David Callett would put it. He had a fluke, and he made Godzilla. And that movie was a gargantuan hit, not just in Japan, but all around the world. But Toho was originally... didn't associate Ishiro Honda with why that movie was so good. Because to them, a director was a dime a dozen. So they started making other tokusatsu kaiju movies at around that time. In the year 1955, particularly, like look at the first Godzilla sequel. It's directed by Motoyoshi Oda, a B-movie director, and that wasn't as big as a hit. But suddenly, Rodan comes along, also directed by Ishiro Honda, and that was the highest-grossing science fiction movie in the world that year. Was Rodan, and suddenly Toho goes, maybe there's something to this guy that we need to start paying attention to. And so he started making something, and then it, in some ways, it was sort of the final nail in the coffin for his career, if you look at it from his perspective. But he made Mothra, and holy shit, did that just make... That was the final straw for Ishiro Honda's career. He was making almost nothing, exclusively giant monster movies from that point forward. Because he was extraordinarily good at them. Yeah, Brad Pitt. He loved War of the Gargantuas. Brad Pitt has talked about that on a few occasions. He's talked about how much he loved War of the Gargantuas. Particularly War of the Gargantuas. Oh, you mean to tell me you didn't like Frankenstein Conquers the World? Not to mention the obscure ones like Half Human and The Human Vapor. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that. The Human Vapor. The Human Vapor is a really good movie. It really is. I mean, it's a really flawed movie, too. Don't get me wrong. But it's one of those movies where it's like everything that it got right, it got really right. Half Human's much more of a mixed bag. But that was another case where I'm like, the monsters were really good in that. If you guys want to see that, I've done a review on both of them. The fact that Godzilla vs. Kong 2021 made more at the box office than Shang-Chi, an MCU superhero film that was theater exclusive and shown hundreds of more theaters, makes me so happy. Well, don't forget, if you look at it dollar for dollar, this movie still made more, but Godzilla outdid it in almost every way. In longevity. Remember, in 2014, it was up against one of the Amazing Spider-Man sequels, and everyone thought Godzilla 2014 was going to bomb at the box office because it was going up against one of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and the inverse happened. Godzilla blew everyone out of the water. It was a sleeper. A sleeper hit is a movie that wasn't financially successful when it came out, but then became financially successful later. It was an upset at the box office. No one was expecting Godzilla 2014 to do as well as it did, especially in the wake of Pacific Rim, where Pacific Rim did not do very well, especially over here in the United States. It did much better in Asia, but it didn't do well over here. The Human Vapor is a slow burn, though Yoshio Tsuchiya's performance of the titular villain is amazing. Absolutely, Yoshio Tsuchiya gives a performance of a lifetime in that movie. I think that is his best movie. I think that's the general consensus, is his performance in that. It's his best movie, in terms of where he plays like a really big character, other than maybe Seven Samurai. I keep forgetting he played in those movies too. Just because it's so funny, because Yoshio Tsuchiya was like, you'd think he would be like, no, I don't really want to talk about these science fiction movies that I'm being in. And he's like, no, I want to talk about these science fiction movies I'm in. I don't want to talk about Akira Kurosawa and all those A-grade movies and those art house films. Fuck those. I want to talk about the one where I played an alien. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. He was a character. You want to talk about a character, it's him. I personally think his best performance is Shindo in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, made in 1991. But that's neither here nor there. But you're right, it is a slow burn. I actually prefer Secret of the Telegian to that. I thought Secret of the Telegian is an astonishingly good movie. And not an Ishiro Honda movie. It's a Jun Fukuda film. And Shinichi Sekazawa, which shows. Alrighty. What else? What else? Oh yeah, the new Godzilla movie. Duh. So Toho has announced that they're going to make a new Godzilla movie, and it's being made by that guy. Wow, how vague of that. What is it called? Always... I don't know. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta look this up for a second. Godzilla 2020... Well, I got really excited over this because I guess this officially means that Legendary Pictures has lifted their embargo on Japan showing a Godzilla film or making a Godzilla movie, because that's why there hasn't been one really made, a live action one anyways, since Shin Godzilla. But that also means it looks like Legendary Pictures doesn't care as much anymore. It's quite clear to me, because if you look at the records of it and everything, Kong seems to be the overall draw in this new series, which makes sense. It does. This is America. America's monster will always be Kong. But this is, yes, thank you. Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2. I guess that's an interesting choice, because I guess he's a kind of a comedic director, if I remember correctly. An interesting choice, but I am excited. I am super excited, because if there's anything Japan has always proven, that is they always get the character better than we do. They always do. Japan does it right. And I'm really excited. I don't know what they're going to do, because clearly it's not a sequel to Shin Godzilla. They're not doing that, which I'm very happy about, because Shin Godzilla was just too good for its own. It was too good for its own good. But I am super, super excited and happy that Japan is able to make another Godzilla movie, because they have just done it right. And maybe that'll give me an excuse to watch Godzilla Singular Point finally. Maybe, just maybe. But I'm really looking forward to that. And I know for a fact that when that movie comes out, you can expect Lucas Schloth and I to do a in-depth video about that as well. Yes, you're right. Kong is a primate. I'm gonna say I. I'm going to say I. Is it A or I? And I know I keep screwing up your name, and I feel really terrible about that. Is it pronounced A with a hard A, or I as in I? Like the letter I. Because I don't want to get your name wrong. Or maybe it's some other way. I don't know. I'm terrible with names. But Kong is always a little bit more relatable, because he's a primate, and stuff like that. Something that John Carpenter, going back to John Carpenter, something he said that was really funny, was he said that he hated the original King Kong vs. Godzilla. He just hates it. And he says it's because of how terrible the King Kong suit is, which I agree. You know what was funny? He mentioned Half Human. He fucking mentioned Half Human. The most obscure of these giant monster movies, because it's not even allowed to be released, because Toho has like a big old nope on it, because it might be racially insensitive to some of the indigenous peoples of Japan. Even though I don't understand that logic at all. It's not really an offensive movie. It really isn't, but whatever. But he's like, to quote him, he's like, why didn't they just do that? for Kong, and said nope, they had to change it. And then the guy who's interviewing it said, or War of the Gargantuas, I wanted to see that version of Kong. And I absolutely agree. And a lot of that just has to do with, is because both the half-human creature and both the Gargantuas and War of the Gargantuas actually had the actor's eyes. And I think that's really important with a primate, a mammal in general, if you're doing suitmation. I can buy the suit being, particularly in the facial expressions, being stiffer than what they usually would be or what they normally would be if I can see the actor's eyes, because the eyes are just the most important thing to it. Shin Godzilla 2... Well, let me bring this up now. Honestly, if the MonsterVerse continues theatrically, I would like to see one more film with just Kong as he fights a new threat within Hollow Earth. I thought that's what they were doing, and he has to team up with Godzilla again. It just sounds like Godzilla vs. Kong 2.0. I'm like, you guys couldn't come up with any better ideas than that in this absolutely insanely fantastical world that you set up in Godzilla vs. Kong, and that's all you can come up with? Let's see. If Shin Godzilla 2 would just be little monsters running around Tokyo, it's scary, but I don't think it would fit for a version of Godzilla. That's true. You know what? I would love to see a book about that. That would be something that's like, you know what? I could read a manga about that. I could read a comic about that. I could read a book sequel to Shin Godzilla just to see where it goes. But not so much a movie. Not so much a movie. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Fucking A, what an insane Godzilla day. That was a lot of shit happening all at once, ladies and gentlemen. That was a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff. Also, if you use it, you can just pronounce my name as Nang, rhyming with gang. Nang? Okay. Okay. I'll just see that. I don't know if you told me how to pronounce your name right. Let me just make sure I'm on live chat. No. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll just call you Nang. Again, I'm really sorry about that, because I know you've been following my stuff for a long time. The least I could do is get your name right. Oh my god, I'm super excited. There's just so much news in like one night. It was great. It was wonderful to watch and wake up to, which was really funny watching the stream, the Japanese stream, because I'm like, I don't understand a word they're talking about other than that I see a Godzilla symbol in 2023 on it, and I know what that means. Oh, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring Antonio on. I'm going to message him right now. We'll be right back. I'm going to bring him on to the stream. I will be back because I want to talk about Halloween with him. I want to talk about that film as well. But thank you all for tuning in. Go get a drink. Go to the bathroom. Whatever. I'll be right back. I'm going to bring Antonio on right now. So, see you in a bit. Now, hi, everybody. Joining me is Antonio Bottiglieri. Antonio, if you could say hello, sir.
Hi.
Oh, God.
All
right. Hopefully he's coming in fine. I have no idea.
Hi.
I gotta see if we're all synced up or not.
I don't know. Should I do my ABCs?
Well, hold on. I gotta find out. I'm finding out. I want.
Oh.
What the fuck is happening? I have no idea. It looks like It looks like you're synced up good. Okay.
Hooray!
I love it when that happens.
When I have a mental breakdown on stream, yeah, it happens.
Yeah. We all love. I've had my share. You know. Well, Antonio,
Yeah,
welcome to this stream. I know it was kind of weird. It was just there was so much Godzilla shit that just came out.
Oh,
I'm like,
oh yeah, I'm aware.
I'm just like, what the fuck is he gonna? He's just gonna sit there and look pretty for an hour.
I'm just gonna sit there and be like,
He's gonna look like me during the Sonics, the Sonic Heroes.
Yeah,
stream.
I'm gonna be like, hold on, I have to write an essay.
Well, man, it looks like you had a fun Halloween.
I did. I spent it at work.
Oh.
Well,
I saw that you dressed up.
Yeah, I dressed up at work.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I dressed up. I did the same costume that I did for the first when we did our Halloween live stream.
When we did the Halloween special, yeah.
I was spammed in at work all day. And only one person actually had the balls to name the character I was dressed as.
Why wouldn't they have balls to name the character?
I don't know. Like,
because they don't know it?
I mean, I don't know if it was like most people probably don't know the character.
Yeah.
Fucking Deltarune, Undertale, garbage, cringe.
Cringe. I love cringe.
That's all I am. You should see what's coming out on my channel on Tuesday if I get it done in time. Or no, Monday. It's Monday now. Fuck.
Is it? Did you make Man Baby 2 without my permission?
No, I would never. You are the one and only Man Baby.
Shit. I actually should probably put up the stream again. or sorry, the chat.
Yeah. Hey, chat. What's going? Wait, hold on. Oh, I gotta look this way. It's like reverse. Hey, chat. What's going good?
What's going good?
Oh, you didn't change it, so now I look like a fucking douche.
Yep. Congrats.
How dare you? I trusted you, and you made me look like a fool. Well, then
I'm pretty good at that. I am pretty good at that. I gotta tell you something I did that was really fun though. We went to a haunted corn maze.
Oh yeah, you were saying.
A bunch of my friends and I, we went to a haunted corn maze. A lot of fun.
Was
like I was
spooky?
really. What?
Was it spooky?
It was. I mean, it was. It got to the point where we said, you know what, we should do this without our flashlights. And so we turned off all of our flashlights, and we're like, no.
No, I don't think so.
And like there was people in there kind of chasing you around and stuff like that. Some of them were really creepy. Like there was one where like she would cry or sing very quietly when you walked by her and stuff like that. She would you would never see her. She never jumped out at you. She would just walk in the corn itself.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, this is great. This is wonderful. This is a lot of fun.
It's like looking for a witch in Left 4 Dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a second, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that was fun. My favorite moment was that Chucky's flashlight was like freakishly powerful for no reason at all. It was one of those like military grade flashlights because of course it was. And my favorite moment that night was when we were trying to figure out should we go right or left. And I was like, I have a quarter in my pocket. Let's flip a coin. Fuck it. And so I flip it and I like put it on my hand, right? And I'm like, oh fuck, I don't have a flashlight on me because like both my hands are being used at that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Chucky, use your flashlight. He's like, Adam, are you sure? Chucky, just use your flashlight. I gotta see it. He turns it on, blinded everyone.
Holy shit!
Everyone was like, ah!
I asked if you were sure.
Turn it off! Turn it off!
Did one of you guys see what it was?
No.
I think it's ingrained in my eyeballs that it was
dribbled. I just dribbled on myself a little bit. No, we didn't see it. We just ended up going right. Jeez, we were so blind. We had the thing was we had just gotten used to the dark.
Oh
so
yeah.
So it was like okay, we can kind of see where we're going. Anyway, fucking A, dude. I had the Halloween blues, the post-Halloween blues, the following day so bad. I was just like, aw. Now I don't have an excuse to watch really creepy, disturbing, disgusting Italian horror movies.
Now you just have to do it.
Now I just have to do it.
Ridiculed by the world.
Yeah, and be weird.
Yeah.
I'm certain my body is paying for Halloween because I think that makeup I was wearing to be spammed in gave me an eye infection in both eyes. So that's fun.
I'm so sorry. Oh, whoops. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, no, I don't want to turn Antonio's volume down. I want to turn the music down.
No, don't silence me!
I don't want to... We got to hear that smooth jazz because it's fall.
The perfect season for smooth jazz.
I think November is. Like, in all seriousness, like look at... You get your pumpkin spice latte.
Oh.
You know, because you're a pretentious douche.
Because I'm a basic ass
Yeah, I'm a
bitch.
basic white bitch. And, I was just drinking coffee on the stream beforehand. So. I love how I was relatively professional on the stream before I brought you on.
Yeah, and now it's all gone out the
It's just
fucking
gone
window.
out the window.
I suck out any professionalism that any fucking stream has whatsoever.
Shit. Shit. Well, hopefully we're coming in good now, guys. Sorry about that. It was some fucked up with my internet, but it seems like we're back now and we're up and running. What am I doing with my life, Antonio?
You are in your home state and you have a job where you do live streams and film sporting events, and you are doing a live stream right now called The Other Holiday between Halloween and Christmas, ANP live stream 11/05/22. And then there's things down there that are scrolling. It says tonight's stream Godzilla 2023.
All right, Antonio. I understand now.
You went? Hi, chat.
I'm actually trying to move to Portland, Maine, so I'm moving even further east.
How? You're also moving further north. At what point are you?
No. Portland, Maine is,
it's not
further
north?
south. Yeah, it's further east, but it's further south. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was gonna say, at what point are you just gonna fucking hit Canada?
At what point am I just gonna go into Canada? What part am I just gonna go to the North Pole and just live with Santa?
You are Santa.
Suddenly, like, you see, like, the Tim Allen. That's a fun movie. The first one is, anyways. I really like
Santa Claus?
Yeah, I really like the first one.
I have not seen the first two.
You've only seen the Jack Frost one?
Yeah, I've only seen the Jack Frost.
Oh God.
It was pretty bad.
Adam is Snanta? Snanta?
John! Why can't you spell anything right?
Hi, John. Welcome to the stream.
How do you fucking spell Santa wrong?
I want to address some of these comments just before we get into the Halloween discussion that I want to kind of talk about briefly. Let's see. Nang. Let's see. Well, if Kong and Godzilla put their grudges aside, it shouldn't even be called Godzilla versus Kong. No, it absolutely shouldn't. You're absolutely right. You know what? I'm going to take it off of studio mode just so I can see it a bit better. Anyways, yeah, here we are. Let's see. Nang, welcome back, Adam and Antonio. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Nang, thank you so much for joining. I noticed you were on that girl's YouTube channel. That she's that Godzilla fan. I forgot her channel's name. But yeah, it was absolutely. It was actually funny to see you. I wasn't expecting to see you there. I was like, oh, I know him. Yeah. Anyways, he's seen that fan-made Godzilla vs. Gamera animated short. Yes, I have. I thought that was really cool. Again, that was the case where they put a lot of character into the monsters, and it was pretty cool. That was pretty cool, I won't lie. Let's see. fan animation looks awesome. Who owns Gamera? Gamera currently is owned by Kadokawa. And clearly they don't give a fuck about him, which is both a cursing and a blessing. Because it's a curse because we're not getting any more new Gamera movies. They don't give a shit. It's a blessing because they don't give a shit enough that they let Arrow get away with making that amazing box set. The total opposite of Toho, where Toho was like, you know what? We're going to keep making Godzilla movies, but no one else can do anything with it. Nothing. Cheers.
Cheers. I didn't come prepared.
If you want to grab something, you can. I mean, I do have whiskey, and I could drink it over the course of this.
Alcohol?
If you want to grab some, go ahead and grab some.
Fuck yeah, I'm going.
All right. Well,
And I just never come back.
He's gone. I'll get my Irish whiskey. Kids, drinking is bad for you. Oh, hi. Hello there.
What?
I said, oh, hello there.
You
You just popped on screen. Oh. Like a deer caught in a headlight.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Jess. She's a monster.
I live in the couch. I appear occasionally.
She was the one that liked to throw stuff at us when we were doing Fat Man Little Boy. Didn't matter what it was.
You asked.
You're covering for me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Vamping a bit.
But it's still just the empty couch. Did you like your headphones back?
Yeah, sure, I'll like them back.
Santa.
And my legs were...
Are you sure you didn't mean to spell Satan?
So I sat up and I just...
Adam is Satan. Of course I am. Cameo.
Adam is Satan.
Okay, cool.
This is an extreme thirst.
I still remember at Sean's party.
Huh?
And I just filled that you have there up in a cup.
Yeah.
And just chugged it, thinking that's what it was.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah, commit to the bit.
Oh, I can. Hold on. We can
okay.
do this together.
Oh my god. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not that experienced, okay?
Look, Antonio, I'm going to say this. You're not the audience draw that Lucas is because of Godzilla and stuff like that, but goddamn does the silliness go through the roof when you're on the stream.
It's what I do. I'm just a guy.
I'm just a dude, disguised as a dude, playing another dude.
Yeah, I'm 3 kids in a trench coat. Not very tall kids, but like...
Oh, so you're the Little Rascals?
One of them.
You're the Little Rascals.
Yeah, I'm Spanky.
There's a scene where they dress up as a Jewish man. And they're just 3 kids dressed on top of each other, and they go into a bank because they need a loan to fix up their playhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And the person they speak to is Mel Brooks.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing in every way.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's great.
I think my favorite Little Rascals bit is the one where Spanky has to take the picture.
I think I've only seen the movie.
Oh. I watched like shorts here and there from,
the original ones?
run.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Essentially, like, the whole premise of the episode is just they want to get a nice picture of Spanky.
I love that.
And, like, that's the whole episode, and it's just shit happening, and the photographer's like an asshole. Spanky is also being an asshole back. There's like one part where they're like, "You have to keep the eye on the birdie," and like points to like a bird figure. And he's like, "Gotta keep your eye on the birdie." And then at one point, the bird falls on the ground, but the photographer doesn't realize. He's like, "No, the birdie," and he's like, "I am looking at him." And it's like, "No, you have to put your eye on the birdie." He's like, "Fine."
Yes, I love it. I love that. Take the instructions literally. I love those jokes.
It's so good.
Well, Antonio, let's actually finally get into the meat and cream of this whole thing. The meat and potatoes, as they should say. I showed you Halloween on Halloween night.
You did show me Halloween.
The original.
You watched it with John and Steve.
And with John and Steve, which was a great surprise. I was glad that they were able to join us.
Yes. That's fine.
We've officially established the
And
canon.
Jess was there too.
Oh yeah, Jess was there too. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Watching Halloween.
Oh yeah, I was like half there.
And I like our interpretation that Michael Myers is just a really conservative, closeted gay man.
Oh, it is. I love it. The one thing that kept ringing in my head was when, I think it's like the first time you see him kill like the couple, like,
Yeah.
in like that random house. And I think it's like one of Laurie's friends, right?
Yes, well, they're all Laurie's friends. All the people that
Yeah, they're all Laurie's
Yeah.
friends. And he just goes up to the dude, and we all just went, "Are you prepared to marry this woman?" Did you just have premarital sex?
I'm surprised we didn't make a KKK joke when Michael Myers put on the ghost costume.
No, he just opened the door. We saw him in the ghost costume, and we just went, "Boo."
Boo.
Dr. Loomis just wants those
Just
Jolly
wants
Ranchers.
those Jolly Ranchers.
Oh,
shit.
fuck, it's 9:30! Oh, my phone's all the way over there!
Gotta dance.
Fuck!
Gotta dance.
No! No!
The worst dancing I've ever done. Thank God you guys can't see it. It's 9:30. You know what? It just hit me. We just spent a half hour doing nothing on this stream. Absolutely nothing.
It's 9:30.
We just spent a half hour doing absolutely
Shit.
nothing on this stream.
No.
Antonio can't hear me right now, so that's fine.
Sorry about your feet. Hello?
Hi.
Hi. It was 9:30.
Yes, I was dancing.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I was dancing. So I'll ask it in a very similar vein as when I had Lucas on. We were talking about the extra outer space. What did you think of it? What did you think of the movie? Halloween.
So knowing like slasher films like now, it's seeing like essentially what is like the classic one. I honestly expected it to be more gory, but it wasn't at all. It was just creepy.
That's actually a very common misconception about the film.
Mm-hmm.
Is that everyone thinks, and it's kind of got a reputation, excuse me, of being like this violent movie. More in line with Rob Zombie's remake.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not. It's got hardly any blood in it at all.
Like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like only like I think like really only when we see the like where Michael got the jumpsuit from. Like with that guy.
There was some blood on that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then also like I think when the one dude is like hanging from the ceiling.
Yes. The guy who was a total stud but looks like a nerd today.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. Yeah, it was a... It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is another movie where everyone gets its reputation of being like really gory, really violent. And,
yeah, like this really violent, gory movie.
but it's really not. When you sit down and watch it, it's creepy as fuck. But,
yeah.
And I think that's what the movie Halloween really... I think it's kind of a victim of what it created.
Uh-huh.
Where it's like everything that came after it just upped the ante.
So that like it got this reputation of being like this gory, like monstrous movie with this monster Michael Myers, but like really in this movie he's just a guy.
He's just a really fucked up dude.
Yeah.
And if you want more of the gore stuff, you watch Halloween 2, the sequel made in 1981. That's the one where they start adding more gore to it. They really up the ante in terms of the violence of the kills and stuff like that. That's actually the one where they really start adding blood to the kills. Was that one? I don't care what anyone says. I really enjoy Halloween 2. I think it's fun watching Halloween and then Halloween 2 back to back, since they take place
like
minutes apart.
Like literally.
Yeah, minutes apart.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that like you don't really see a lot of movies that are like that.
No.
Where like the second one literally starts where the first one left off.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I give it props that it's not just the first movie over again.
Yeah.
Like, it's genuinely continuing the story over the course of that night. And I'm like, okay. I don't like some of the decisions that they make in the film, don't get me wrong. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but I still really like it. I think what the first one has above all the other films that I've seen. I haven't seen the new trilogy, but I've seen the other ones.
The Rob Zombie one.
Yeah. This film has the thickest atmosphere.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire
Everything's just
thing.
It's just so weird.
It's slow. Like creepily slow.
It's definitely like I feel like I keep seeing this when it comes to movies that came out in like the 70s, where it's just like it's just slow. But like not in a bad way. Like it knows when to let things like just sit and like ruminate a little bit.
Well, I think the slowness works in the movie's favor too, because it's all about they're being followed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what it reminds me of? I can't remember if you've seen this movie or not, but it's got wicked It Follow vibes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can definitely
yes, I have seen.
And
that
I
movie.
can definitely see how It Follows was inspired specifically by Halloween, in terms of that sort of gliding cinematography, where the camera just follows the characters walking down a street and stuff like that. It's not much happens in the movie if you really look at it. It's nothing.
No, not really. It's really just like Lori goes to school. She goes home. She wants to she's like calling her friends. They're dead, and then Michael gets killed by Lori.
Yeah,
kind of. It's more Sam Loomis, and also killed. But you know what I mean.
And you know what? I think that works to its benefit.
It's weird because the movie's like an hour and a half long, but it feels nowhere near. It felt like it was like a 40-minute movie.
It feels. You see, I've heard two opinions on that. I've heard people that say it feels a lot longer than it is, and I've also heard people say what you said. I personally think the movie feels longer than what it actually is, but not in a bad way. It specifically makes you sit there and go, "I'm going to watch this. I'm watching this camera follow this girl," and everything like that. And I also want to say this. I know there's a lot of tropes where it's always the girl. I've always thought horror was the woman's genre in terms of you want a hero and people to root for. Women in horror films have always been strong characters and stuff like that as a counterpoint to the modernist argument. But I love how Laurie is actually a pretty competent human being.
Oh my god, yeah. I think Laurie Strode might be the most the smartest horror movie character protagonist ever.
Because what's her reaction to this guy breaking into her house? Stab him.
Yeah, she's like, she stabs him and is like, get the fuck out of here.
She's like, I'm not gonna waste time and call 911. He's gonna kill me.
I'm not gonna just sit in a closet and scream.
And I love how she's like, I gotta think of those kids. I love that. And they kind of established that earlier on in the film, because they established that she babysits more than she hangs out with guys and stuff like that. The whole thing with her, she was trying to go to I think it was the prom.
Yeah, it was prom, and then she couldn't.
And she couldn't because she was babysitting. And they and they sort of established that and everything like that. And it's just geniusly structured on that. It's little things here and there where I go, oh, it paid off.
Yeah. Oh, this pays off. It's also the dialogue in the movie, there really isn't a ton.
It's very natural.
Yeah, it's very it's almost like we're just watching a neighborhood, not
exactly,
a movie.
Yeah.
especially since the shots, like, Halloween is almost shot like a documentary, in a sense.
I think I see where you're going with that. Like, it's very fly on the wall.
Yeah, like there aren't any, like, film shots. It's not like, it doesn't feel like the film is like carefully, like the composition doesn't feel carefully constructed, even though it is.
Especially
But
that
like it
first
doesn't
scene.
feel that. Yeah, especially the first scene, like that POV shot is amazing and it's legendary and it's iconic, but like it also like establishes, like, and I think I even said it when we were first watching the movie. It was like you can tell this is a low budget movie, but like not in a bad way.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they shot it in anamorphic widescreen.
Mhm.
This wasn't. I was wrong. I said to you guys that night, because I remember Steve, he was like, "Oh, this was a John Carpenter movie?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, this was John Carpenter's first movie." It wasn't. Assault on Precinct 13 was John Carpenter's first movie, which Assault on Precinct 13 was a heavy inspiration for our short film Sierra, just to sort of give you the vibe of what that movie is.
Okay.
Not a horror movie. Creepy movie, but not a horror movie.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of an action movie. It's a modern western is what it's actually called.
So kind of what you called Sierra.
Yeah. Yeah. Except mine was a little more overt in the westernness.
Yeah.
But Halloween was his first big break. And he only had like 2 million. This movie was made, I think, for $1 million, not even $1 million bucks. I think they said they spent more money on getting Donald Pleasance than anything else in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened, and it totally was worth it, because Donald Pleasance, in my opinion, gives the movie the clout it needs to take it serious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, like, speaking of Sam Loomis's character, right?
The worst therapist in the world.
For one thing, he's the worst therapist of all time. He's literally calling his patient evil and trying to kill him.
He calls him the evil throughout the entire film.
Yeah. Doesn't call him, his name. But like, I like his character is intriguing to me because in the grand scheme of things, he's not that important.
No. He
is chasing Michael. We know that from the beginning because it was his car that he stole to escape the mental asylum. But then after that, it's like they're chasing him, and Loomis is just talking about like how evil Michael is and that he's the embodiment of evil. He's the devil. He's the evil, whatever. And then he just kind of comes in at the end and kills him, and like that's his contribution to the whole movie.
Yeah,
it kills him. Yeah. But the real thing is that whenever he talks, you almost kind of get the sense of like, I think you're crazier than Michael.
Oh, the sequels play into that like mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the Thorn trilogy, which is 4, 5, and 6. Donald Pleasance is the best part of those movies, hands down. Along with some of the kills. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sucker for those, But I didn't realize I was into the slasher genre as much until this Halloween. This holiday season, I should say, was I just watched a bunch. I watched a couple of the Friday the 13th movies. I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to watch all of the Halloween movies.
Yeah,
it's just whatever. But you're right in every way. By the way, you're not the first person to say that about Dr. Loomis.
I'm sure.
That he's almost crazier than Michael. Like, even the final shot of the film where he looks down over the balcony and Michael's gone.
Yeah.
And the look on his face is like, fuck.
He's like, damn.
He's still out there. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. It's so good.
And you know what has a lot to do with the power of this movie, and I think what sells it? It's very similar to Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho in this sense. The music.
Yeah.
There are several scenes in both Psycho and Halloween that I'm like, this would not work without the music playing in the scene. Particularly the long shots where there's like nothing happening. In both films, there's long shots where nothing happens. And if that music wasn't there underscoring the scene, it wouldn't have worked. Now, the difference is that Bernard Herrmann on Psycho, he composed music to be in your face, to specifically be in your face. While John Carpenter has said multiple times, I like ambience. I like it to add flavor to the scene, not overpower the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always done that in any of his scores. I've seen him do music for, which was really funny watching Steve go, he did the music?
Yeah.
Like, of course he did. He's John Carpenter.
He does everything.
But yeah, you know, just the simple one note on the piano.
Even there were even some scenes where I noticed like it was like a slowed down version of the theme too.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was just like, I think it was just during a scene where like Lori and her friends were talking and you just hear.
Well, there's some of that. Yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of it is just, it's ambient to a core, and it really helps sell the atmosphere of this thing. It helps sell that you're being followed. Things aren't like they seem.
Yeah.
And they kind of ruin this in Halloween 2, but I like the randomness of it.
Yeah.
Like, we have no clue why Michael is choosing these particular people.
The Strodes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or, well, her and her friends. Yeah. Like, why is he targeting them? We don't know.
Like, yeah, it's like you are kind of brought to assume that he wants to kill her.
Yeah.
Because her family is selling his house.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, he kills her friends first.
You don't really truly understand his motive. And they explain it in the sequel a lot more. They explain it in the sequel a lot more. Which I have mixed feelings for. In fact, the Halloween 2 technically isn't even canon because of the new trilogy that just came out.
Well, what's even canon with the Halloween?
What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But let's see.
I think it's just easier to consider them like separate universes.
Yeah. Do the same thing with Godzilla. It's a really solid, creepy, spooky movie.
It's true. It was really good.
I don't know. Like, I don't. Have you seen The Strangers?
Nope.
That's another movie where it's very much these two people in a house that just get randomly targeted by these horrible people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that in that film as well, where you'll see a shadow move in the background, and that's it. It'll be like one long static shot, and you'll just see a face kind of appear in the shadows.
Whoa.
And then just walk away.
That's the worst.
And stuff like that. And I'm like, you can't tell me they weren't inspired by this. Because there's that one shot where she's in her friend's house, and you just see the white mask kind of appear, just barely, in the background before he grabs her. And I'm like, oh, God.
Hell, there's even one shot where I think it's like he's watching her while she's at school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just standing behind the car.
Yeah.
And, like, even then, like, they don't, like, they draw attention to it, obviously, but, like, they don't draw that much attention to it. He's just there.
I love how it's done in a wide shot.
Yeah.
There's no, like, dramatic zoom in. There's no, like...
Exactly.
There's no insane music sting. There's just
it's literally
a little
just
bit
like
of
he's there.
There's a little bit of ambient music, and then he's gone. And I'm like, that's great. And I know that there's one scene that I didn't notice until somebody pointed it out to me after we got done watching it. There's a part where Dr. Loomis is just arriving at Michael's house, and in the background you can see the car Michael is driving in the background.
Oh.
So he was right there. Loomis almost caught him.
Holy
but he
shit.
barely got away in the background. It's a little details like that that's throughout the entire film that I really like. You see the inklings of John Carpenter in this movie. It's not a total John Carpenter movie. It is in the sense that it's very atmospheric, and I think that's always been John Carpenter's strength. I mean, look at The Fog, The Thing. Even Escape from New York, which is an action movie, it's extremely atmospheric. And again, it's the use of that anamorphic widescreen lens he just does extremely well. He's just very good at capturing scope and also doing it on a very small budget. He's got a good eye for it. And I totally lost my train of thought because I have been consuming
That's not part of the bottle, by the way.
That's not part of the bottle? Oh, you had it in the freezer?
Yeah.
I always forget that you can't freeze alcohol.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's always best to keep vodka in the freezer.
It is usually a sign you're an alcoholic, too.
Well,
Guilty.
You got me.
It's a very atmospheric film. I was kind of glad that you enjoyed it. I thought you were going to find it really boring.
that's what you thought I was gonna think about fucking Star Trek. I like slow movies.
Well, most people I know think Star Trek the motion picture is boring.
I loved it, like, from beginning to end. I mean, I make fun of the fucking part where, you know, we see the Starship Enterprise
now we gotta
for, like,
see the back
10
of it.
fucking minutes. Yeah. All right, now we're on the other side. Now we're on top of it. And then after finally, like, 10 fucking minutes of it, it's fucking... Thank you, Captain.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
Or
Mr.
whatever.
Spock. Yeah. Or no, thank you,
Mr.
Scotty.
Spock.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, that was it.
It is really funny.
Almost like it was Shatner just, like, thanking the VFX artist for, like, making that possible. Like, I was literally sitting there in the theater just being like, wow, the VFX artists are really...
really milking this, aren't they?
They're really into the autofellatio today, aren't they?
It's just really funny because in Star Trek 2, the Wrath of Khan, they had nowhere near the budget of Star Trek the motion
Yeah.
picture, like literally less than a quarter. And
Yeah.
and so they used some stock footage from the motion picture,
Mhm.
and the entire dry dock scene is basically reused in that film, but it's so much better paced.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, this,
Here we
this is
go
what it should
again.
have been. But it's so much better paced, like in every way, shape, and form. Like it doesn't take forever. It's like 1 minute most, and it gets
Mhm.
everything you need across. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scotty.
Shit. So Nang points out that I've only seen the original 1978 film, Rob Zombie's films, and the David Gordon Green trilogy. I also have seen Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is an underrated movie in my opinion. But I think that can work well as its own film. I agree. Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers or any of it. Because their original intent was to make Halloween like an anthology series. But they made the mistake of making Halloween 2, which was a direct continuation. So I'm like, you kind of screwed you guys
fucked
over
yourself.
with that. Yeah.
You really fucked yourselves on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
The only Halloween movie I've seen is the one we watched a few days ago.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I would like to show you Halloween 2.
I'm fine with that. I'll fucking watch any goddamn horror movie. I haven't watched a lot of, like, the major, like, slasher movies.
I have Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I would love to show that to you, Steve and John.
Yo.
Yeah.
So when are we gonna make content out of that? When are you, me, Steve, and John just gonna have like a fucking Mystery Science Theater ass fucking show?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, we'll just do real time fan dubs with movies.
You see, I've never been totally into those. I've been into some, but I've never been too tickled by them overly.
It depends. It depends on one, who's doing it, and two, like what, like the thing they're doing.
Well, that's what I got out of it too. I was like, it really does kind of depend on who's doing it, and stuff like that. But
like Snapcube is consistently funny with it, but sometimes the things that they pick for it are like not really like great.
okay,
Like, you know, they do a lot of the Sonic stuff, and that stuff's always hilarious.
I think that's what you've shown me with some of the Sonic stuff.
But they've also done Resident Evil. They did at one point, and that one was like just
I bet you that one's
okay.
Oh, really? I think that would be fun.
The only bit in it that I really like is they did Resident Evil 2 remake.
Okay.
And you know, they have the giant Mr. X dude that like chases you throughout the whole game, and the dude that played him like played into this bit that he's like a librarian that's like really into his job. So he'd be like, Claire, you have to return your overdue library. Where did she go?
I really love it when they do that with something. Like us saying like he was a really diehard conservative closeted gay man.
Yeah.
You know?
Wasn't it like like there was like one point where the friend shows Michael her boobs?
Yeah,
thinking
thinking it was the boy, yeah.
And then we just went, gross.
Gross.
Ew. Boobies.
Oh, this is what I wanted to say, and I guess we'll wrap up the Halloween discussion on this. It is a flawed movie. Like there's
definitely.
there's some stuff in there where I go, that's a palm tree in the background. Wait.
Oh well, yeah.
Wait, why are all the leaves green, but there's
except
leaves
for the ones on the ground
all over the place?
Yeah.
Why are there? Wait a minute. You're telling me that this is an Illinois school, but there's lockers outside? Have you been to Illinois?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Why?
Or even like the one that I got was like, maybe I missed something, but the dude that was hanging upside down after Michael killed him.
Yes.
How did he get that way?
I guess Michael just really wanted him there.
I understand that, but like it wasn't that much time between
No.
like when Laurie was in the house and he killed him. So like, I guess he's really good at knots.
Can I tell you the kill that disturbs me the most? In all seriousness, 100%. It's the girl in the car.
Yeah.
Because he just strangles her. And it
Yeah,
shows
and like
all
that-
of it.
Yeah, they don't hold back with that.
Like,
one.
and I love how you said, wait a minute, why is the car door unlocked? It was you that said
Yeah.
that. You were like, wait a minute, she just went to grab her keys and now the door's unlocked? And I'm like, yeah. Wait for it.
And wait for it.
And
and then
there's a
Michael's
reason
in the
why the
car.
door is unlocked now.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think you and Steve were both like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
that's a
wait a
film
minute.
mistake. No.
Yeah, it's like no, it wasn't 100% intentional.
Well, that asks the questions, how the hell did Michael get in there? But I also didn't notice. It was probably hard for you guys to see. But the windows were all fogged up as well.
Yeah.
You know? So
I remember
he
you
was in
pointing that
there.
out.
And stuff like that. So I was like, I like it. I dig this.
It's good shit.
I feel bad for the dog.
Oh,
Michael
yeah.
kills the dog. Apparently he eats them. I don't
What the
I don't
fuck?
know if you guys caught this. I did. But during the scene where Loomis and that sheriff are investigating that house and they look at something and they say he got hungry. Loomis says he's been hungry. That's apparently the dog.
Oh.
You guys were kind of talking over it, which was fine. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just a little detail. But yeah, apparently that's the dog.
Holy
And
shit.
that Michael was eating the dog because he got hungry.
A dog's always gotta die, I guess. What are you, fucking a Rocky?
Yeah. Well, I was very happy to. I would love to show you guys Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a couple of them. I really want to.
You know what I watched?
I want to show you and Steve Suspiria, and I'd love to have John on with that again because John fucking adores that movie to no end.
Okay.
Yeah,
I hear it's like really weird.
It's a nightmare. It's legit a nightmare, and it's the most gorgeous. To quote Eli Roth, it put the gore back in gorgeous. You know, I don't really like Eli Roth as a filmmaker, but as a guy talking about his love of weird horror, he's great to listen to.
Why do I know that name?
Cabin Fever.
Does he write books too?
No, he made Cabin Fever. That's probably the most famous one. Piranha 3D. He was in Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
Yeah, he played in Inglourious. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
No.
Ah, damn it. He's one of the guys that shoots Hitler. He's in that.
Oh, he did Hostel?
Yes. Yep.
I think that's where I know him from.
He did that. Which the first Hostel's a good movie.
Oh yeah.
After that, I can't really say that. I also genuinely like the first Saw. Genuinely.
I've only seen like the first 5 minutes of Saw.
I genuinely like the first two Saw movies. I'm genuinely sitting there like, yeah, I dig this. I get what it's
from what
doing.
I've heard, from what I've heard of the Saw movies is that they just keep getting dumber.
Yes, that's just it. They keep having to up the ante on their deaths, which is a problem that has plagued all of these franchises.
Yeah.
It's like,
how
nah,
do you-
take a step back, which I think was why the Halloween reboot in 2018 was so successful, was because it was very scaled down compared to all the other ones. And then all of a sudden, Halloween Kills comes out. That was a piece of shit, I guess.
Well, I heard with Halloween Kills is that it's not that great a movie, but it's fun.
Okay, I can
Like-
understand that.
Like, it's like the kills are like so gory and over the top that it's just fun.
Yeah.
But with Halloween
Yeah.
Ends, that I heard that was like just a stinker.
Which is really funny because Red Letter Media loved it. And I think they loved it just because, well, they didn't love it. They liked it. And I think
Yeah,
they
they
liked
liked
it
it.
just because it was doing something new.
Yeah, which I can understand.
I can understand that.
I can get that.
Yeah.
And it is kind of interesting where it's like they're trying to like put in a new killer from what I understand.
Yes, yeah, it was supposed to be a
But
legacy thing, but they kind of
Yeah.
throw that out the window apparently by the end, I guess. But
Well, also like I don't know. I know like we talked about this a little bit before, but it's like the main complaint that people have with the movie is that Michael Myers is barely
in it, yeah,
which like I can get like okay, you're trying to like transfer it over to this new guy. But like you kind of got to balance it out.
well,
first.
here's what would sell me on Michael being hardly in it, because I mean, let's face it, let's look at all the other Halloween movies. He's hardly in it. What sells it is you feel him throughout the entire film. You know, I've always said that. I hate to say it, but I've always said that about Godzilla. What makes a good Godzilla movie? Even if he's hardly in it, if you feel his presence throughout the entire thing, it's his movie. You know?
Yeah, that's it.
It's the same deal with this. John, you still have to watch the 2018 Suspiria and heard great things. I have a hard time picking which one I like more. Two very, very different movies. It's a remake done right. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's a remake done right. Because you heard me, John, when it was first coming out. I was very skeptical of it because I was like, the Dario Argento one is such a masterpiece. Why are you trying to remake something that's really good? It's not like King Kong with like updated visual effects and new. The movie's so old, you know, you can kind of get away with updating it. Totally blown away by the 2018 version. They are just so radically different. Suspiria the original one is very loud and bombastic and very colorful. The remake is very muted, very very quiet and very somber. And it's like they inverted everything about the original film, but did it in the best possible way. They didn't Ghostbusters 2016 it. You know, they just inverted things just for the sake of inverting and for the sake of political correctness. No, this film, the filmmakers had a vision for it. And though I think the movie is a little too long, I think it's like almost 3 hours, I think. The remake. It's so good. It's such a good character piece. And I think the actress's name is Tilda Swinton. She plays 3 different characters in the film, and I never would have guessed it by watching it. Yeah, she plays the main witch. She plays somebody who runs the ballet arena, and then she plays a guy. She plays a dude in the film as well. And also, the fact that the remake takes place in the height of the Cold War at the Berlin Wall, you know, just to add some more of the texture of it being in Germany and everything like that. The subtext of the remake is a lot better than the Dario Argento one. I'll say that right now. The Dario Argento one, the fact that it takes place in a ballet studio is almost asinine to the movie. It just happens to take place there, and it just happens to take place in Germany. No, in the remake, it's like the setting is why the movie is the way it is. Like, it's a huge chunk of the subtext behind the film. And, like, some of the communist riots that were happening at the time and stuff like that, that's a background to this movie. And I'm like, this is great. And it adds to the horror element of it. And I'm like, this is wonderful. Two very different movies. And I seriously do have a hard time, picking between the two. Would love to screen them both. I have the 4K restoration of the original Suspiria. Mwah. Those colors are really colorful. I wonder what watching the original Suspiria would be like high.
Probably awful. But maybe
I don't know because it's so colorful. There's a scene where a girl falls into a barbed wire pit that's the moment where you go, this is a nightmare. This movie makes no sense. What is oh my god.
Speaking of witches, because you mentioned that their character plays a witch. I watched something a couple days ago. It actually might have been yesterday. That I personally had no idea existed because it aired on Cartoon Network, and I wasn't that much of a Cartoon Network kid at first. But apparently they made a Scooby-Doo short called The Scooby-Doo Project, which was just Scooby-Doo but Blair Witch.
The fuck?
And it is real. And like it's shot as if, you know, Velma is holding the camera, and then it has like the rest of the Scooby gang going into the woods to investigate like some monster, and they get like chased, and there's like some perspective shots, and like it gets genuinely like terrifying at a point, because there's one point where it goes from like they're just kind of like, all right, well, we're not finding anything, let's leave, and then that's when it really starts, is when they're like, all right, let's leave, and then the gang gets lost, and they start to kind of go a little crazy.
So the Blair Witch Project.
It's literally just Blair Witch with Scooby-Doo, and I think it was literally the type of thing where it was so scary they had, like, for kids, that they had to stop airing it.
So what was this called? Was it just called the Scooby Project? What the fuck was this?
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo Project.
Shaggy's so sassy.
Shaggy is very sassy in it.
Oh, I thought she said sexy.
No, not sexy.
He is. He is.
Are you attracted to Shaggy?
That's up to Adam to decide.
Oh, it popped up. It was the first thing that popped up. So clearly, people have been looking it up.
Well, because I think Cartoon Network just uploaded it after like years of it being off the air.
Oh yeah, it's right up here.
It's so good.
Oh my god, they're animated. I love this.
Yeah,
I've
insane.
heard of this. I've seen this. I think I've seen this.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's just very familiar.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like one of those things that like unlocks a memory within you.
The monster is just some guy.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if that was one of the creators of the Blair Witch, one of the two directors.
Mm.
I don't know.
Oh, when they have like the
guy on
the real people. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad somebody else likes the 2018 Suspiria. Tom York did the soundtrack to the 2018 version. Is he Radiohead? I think he's Radiohead.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's Radiohead. He's a douche. He's a fucking douche, but man, is he talented. It's one of those.
That really do just be like the name of the game, huh?
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. He's talented enough that I can say, you know what, I'll tolerate it. While the original score is by Goblin, who is one of the most epic prog rock bands ever. And so the music is just, whoa! It's just in your face throughout the entire thing, to the point that there are scenes where you go, oh my god, stop! Stop! But you realize as you're watching it that it's doing that on purpose. It's making you go insane, because it wants you to go insane.
Yeah, it's like the sensory overload type of thing.
Particularly during the kills. And I gotta tell you, the first 15 minutes of Suspiria are like unrivaled in any horror movie ever. In terms of how ape shit they are. It's like you watch the first 15 minutes of Suspiria, you're like, okay, how is this movie going to top that? How can it top that? And it comes close.
It does. Okay.
It comes close. The barbed wire scene comes close. There's also the scene with the maggots coming out of the ceiling all over everybody, and I'm like, this is beautiful. I'd love to show you guys that one. Martin Kasperi Smith. Martin. Unfortunately, man, I talked about that during the first half of the stream. From 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., I pretty much exclusively talked about all the shit that came out on Godzilla Day. So if you want, this is going to be up on video on demand when this is all done. Feel free to go back to that and check it out, if you so wish. In summary, I preferred the Suitmation one, not Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, but I loved them both, and I thought they were a lot of fun. And I liked some of the visual flair that Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex had. So that's it in summary. Now, if only it could stay on YouTube for more than 5 minutes. God, Toho's been killing everybody. Anybody who uploads anything related to that with just even like a 5-second clip, Toho's been like, kill!
Yeah, that's classic Toho.
Yeah. I just had to... Oh, I gotta say this, guys. I don't know if any of you have been here for this long. I know a couple of you have. I had to delete every episode of Creature Feature Double Feature, which was a show that I did years ago, but was relatively popular. And I know some of you guys like to go back to that and listen to them and stuff like that. I had to delete every episode because right now I'm kind of in YouTube jail. I got a copyright strike on something for genuine reasons. YouTube wasn't bullshitting on this. This is an old video I did, and you know what? I'm like, I'm not going to fight this. 100% correct.
I get those sometimes with the copyright claims. Like, I got hit hard for I didn't get a strike, but I got a pretty massive claim when I did the reaction to the Mario movie trailer.
I figured you would. I was worried about that when you did that. I was like, oh god.
I kind of figured it was gonna happen, so I was like, fuck it. And then I did, and like the whole you go to the thing and it's like, oh, check out what part of the video got striked, and it's literally the whole video.
The whole video, like, yeah, yep.
And I'm like, you can have.
But I got a strike, so I'm in YouTube jail for 90 days.
Yucky.
It's not the end of the world. I'm still making money. You know, my account hasn't been affected, but that strike will be there for 90 days. And so I'm being really careful. There's a couple of other videos I took down that were just older, just because they had copyrighted music in it, that I just kind of took down and said, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. I do have every episode of Creature Feature Double Feature, though. Like, it's not like they're gone forever. I do have them. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload them to one of my billions of Google accounts and put them on, like, the G Drive of Season 1, Season 2, and I'm going to link those on my website. I think that's what I'm going to do, so that way you guys can just download them and watch them and do whatever you guys want with it. But just know, I had to get rid of them all yesterday and today. So.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Creature Feature Double Feature was my show for a while. I mean, it was 2 seasons of 8 episodes, and it was 2 weird science fiction movies per episode. And I'd have a guest on.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just watch them live.
You did that with, like, John and Mark, right?
Yep. Mark never did one. I asked Mark if he wanted to do one. He kept kind of being wishy-washy about it. And with Mark, I'm kind of like, if he's wishy-washy about it, that usually means no.
He doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do it. John was on one. We did Makakal, which is the Indian version of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
And then we also did Toxic Avenger 4.
Citizen
Toxie, yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
It's fucking great. It's fucking great. I don't think that's my favorite trauma movie, but it's right up there. I think my favorite trauma movie is Poltergeist Night of the Chicken Dead. I really think it is that movie, because it's also a musical for no reason at all, and I'm like, that's so funny.
It's so good.
But I had, like, Kyle Narciso was on there for a while. Tommy Nickel was a guest on there. And a bunch of other people online. You won't know, Kaiju Noir was a guest on several of them. The Unknown 87, a.k.a. Patrick Galvin, who's from Toho Kingdom. He was on there for several episodes, actually. And, you know, it was weird people watching weird science fiction movies and having fun. You know, just sort of talking about it, and it was half riff, half history. Because I try to do research on the movies and, you know, talk about, like, this is cool, or find genuinely good things in them and stuff like that, and have some fun with it. It was fun to do. Those are fun to do. I would love to bring something like that back. I really would.
Hell yeah. Just find a new way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the new Showa Gigan suit being used in Godzilla vs. Gigan? Again, I kind of talked about that earlier, but I loved it. I love the fact that they didn't go over the top with it. They said, fuck it, we're doing Showa era, already an insane design. Sorry. Done. I'm done. So what was one of the other topics that we have?
I don't know. Let's look in the scrolly thing down there.
What if,
Now,
what if we somehow were able to like rig it so I could be like, I don't know, let's just grab one from the scrolly bar, and then I just like
I talked about John Carpenter, Master of Monster, and all that shit. Did I spell his name right? I'm really paranoid right now.
I hope you didn't.
I did.
I hope that it wasn't Carpenter you spelled wrong, but John.
But John. You have no idea how paranoid I get over that shit. By the way, I'm turning beet red right now, and it is not because... It's totally because of this.
Oh,
I am getting all warm and bubbly inside. I was going to ask, I love this time of year in general. I mean, October is my favorite month. And I've made that pretty... Orange is my favorite color because of this. I love the fall. Deer season's right around the fucking corner, so I'm like, I gotta go out there and I gotta get my deer. I'm gonna
gotta get me a buck.
Get a big trophy buck, and I'm gonna feed everyone for a year. And I named this live stream because I named it and created it before the Godzilla stuff came out.
Yeah.
But I called it the other holiday between Halloween and Christmas. And I say that because there's already Christmas music playing everywhere I go.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of sad because I love Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is a delicious time of year.
And I was curious, Antonio, because you're rather Italian.
I am Italian.
What are some of your Thanksgiving traditions around this time of year?
I mean, it's nothing too out of the ordinary. Like, you know, we get the turkey, we get the stuffing, we got the potatoes, the corn, the cornbread.
We piss off the vegans. Yes, 100%.
Yes, we piss off the vegans because not only do we have a turkey, we also have a ham.
Oh, you guys do the two things?
I will have it no other way.
Now, I've always interpreted it as I don't eat ham. I don't really like ham. But ham was more of a Christmas thing.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I've had ham plenty of times during Thanksgiving, so it is also a Thanksgiving food to me.
You know why? Like, why I just love fall? It's just pretty. It's
do be a
pretty.
time
The
of year.
weather is usually perfect. Like, it's the right level of hot versus cold. Usually.
Yeah.
And, deer season.
I actually went to, not that long ago, I went to, holy shit. I went to Fire Island with, Jess and her brother and her mom.
Yeah.
And we walked through...
Did you meet them
What's it
gays?
called, like the marsh?
Yeah, it's the Marsh Trail on the ocean side.
Yeah, so we walked on the Marsh Trail, which is by, I forget what it's called. Watch Point?
Watch Hill.
Watch Hill, that's what it's called. And just seeing, like, it wasn't as much as we were expecting, but even then, like,
It was the start of it.
yeah, it was like the start of it, where it's like the grass has this nice gradient of green to yellow to red.
Yeah, I get.
as
Yeah,
it goes
yeah,
up.
I understand what you're saying.
And seeing it, like, by the water was, like, really cool.
We were doing games for Profile, a school by us called Profile, and the mountains looked like they were on fire. The level of oranges and reds and yellows. I can probably pull it up. They won't yell at me for it. It's just a screenshot. Which I gotta tell you, I'm gonna miss this job. I've
yeah?
absolutely loved doing this job. Because one, I love the fact that I'm traveling all over the place. I was traveling to southern New Hampshire. I was even more north than us a couple of times, and I was all over the place covering these games. And it's fun doing games. Like, I don't even like sports, but it's fun to do.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's
just to like capture,
just to
what's
capture
going
it
on.
and try to cut and do all that stuff.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we had like 5 cameras going, and I'm mixing it on my one thing, and I'm doing my own thing. I had a soccer ball fucking hit me in the head while I was mixing this stupid thing on one of the games, and the girls were like, oh my god, but like a boss, I caught it as well.
Oh my god.
So like it hit my nose, right? Flew my glasses off, flew my headset off, and I'm like, oh. And the announcers just start laughing their asses off because, oh, we caught it. It's still in play.
That's so good.
You know, but that's part of the fun of doing it live too. Is it's like you never know that shit's gonna, what shit's gonna happen. Because we did one where it got really cold that night, like really fucking cold. Like I couldn't feel my nose, I couldn't feel my fingies, and the keyboard started freezing.
Okay.
And like that's cold when my electronics start freezing. I love how I'm looking over. Like I can,
Yeah, like you can see more.
like I can
if you
see
were to,
more,
like,
but
do that.
no. Jesus.
He was like looking over me, like, "What are you doing?" Like he was gonna be able to see more of the room, like if he did that.
Let me see if I can't pull up that game.
You don't know. You don't know what powers he possesses.
It's very true.
What kind of powers do you possess?
Many. I just can't describe them.
Are you Fingers Man?
I have many talents. It's just that they all suck. None of them are useful.
I have the power to see, but only out of one eye.
Fuck off. You can fuck right off with that one.
Fair enough, you got me there. Oh man.
But like, hold on. Let me show you this one right here. Let me see if I can't. I gotta get it to studio mode really quick. Vamp, Antonio, vamp.
Oh, I got a vamp. Hey, I've been reading this book called No Longer Human, and it's probably the darkest story I've ever fucking read.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah. I started reading the book now. I finished the Junji Ito adaptation. And oh my god, it's like written like an essay.
I read an abridged version of it because I got really curious because I'm like, this guy's the antithesis to Yukio Mishima, who I've been obsessed with.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it really did pique my interest, and I'm very happy that you did that. But
It is just such it's just so fascinating. But like in the most worst possible.
in like the worst possible way. Yeah. Well, isn't the character just like a total piece of shit if you really look at it?
Oh, yeah, he's an alcoholic, he's a druggie, he's a cheater.
Like
he's a liar.
everything he does to himself.
Yeah.
And if I read it correctly, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like he wants to better himself, but yet he doesn't think he's worthy of it, and so that causes him to do other things. And then
Yeah.
it's
that's definitely how
it's definitely Japanese nihilism of the period,
yeah, definitely.
hands down.
And it's like at one point, like actually at multiple points, honestly, he has it. Like he has what he wants.
Yeah.
At one point, he had a manga that he was like, he had a manga that was going to a first-rate paper. He had a loving wife who wasn't like an asshole. You know, he was doing very well for himself, and then he fucks it up.
Of course. Isn't it 4 parts? Like there's 4 different sections.
Yeah,
Something like that.
In the book, it's split up into 4 sections, which are supposed to read as if they're like diary entries.
Yeah.
In the Junji Ito adaptation, it's just 27 chapters or 24 chapters.
That's so funny that Junji Ito's doing it.
it's interesting because it's unlike anything he's ever done.
Right. Right.
Like it's so
This isn't horror.
it's not it's certainly kind of horror, but like not in the way he usually does it.
Definitely not in the way how he usually does it. No.
Like he still puts in like the horrid imagery.
Of course he does. He's Junji Ito.
But
He
yeah,
can't
of
help
course.
himself.
But, of course. But like usually the horrid imagery that he would show in this like manga is like it's real stuff. Like it's not like the cosmic like weird horror that he usually does. Like there's one point in the story where the main character decides that with the girl that he's lived with, who is just as depressed as he is, that they're going to kill themselves together. But then, so they're like, we're going to take a bunch of medicine and we're going to jump in the river and then we're going to die.
That's fucked.
And that's it. Yeah. But then what happens is that she takes the medicine, seems to have an allergic reaction to it, so she starts swelling and being in immense burning pain and not able to breathe. And he starts getting visions of ghosts that are haunting him from his past and ends up kicking her into the water and living himself, and she dies.
That is so... See, here's my issue with it. And don't get me wrong. I bet you it's great.
Yeah.
I really do. But I have this issue with a lot of works that are very depressing like that.
Yeah.
Where they're just depressing because they're depressing.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway. I have that with big time.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Man, if I can... I'm depressed. But I'm still chugging along.
I mean, if you want to be real, in a sense, it's kind of just you could see it as venting.
Yes,
like
I think it was, wasn't it? It was kind of the author just venting his own frustrations. I thought, or at least that's what I read about it, anyways.
Yeah, it definitely was, and some people even speculate that it's a little bit, like not entirely, but a little bit of an autobiography.
That's common. That's
Yeah.
common. Usually, authors
Yeah.
put a little bit of themselves into stuff, whatever they do.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
But
that's common.
What I had this chilling realization because I read up on the author and I read up on the novel after I was finished reading the Junji Ito adaptation, and then I had this little chilling experience where the story begins and ends with the same event, where so at the end of the Junji Ito adaptation, I don't know if this happens in the book, but the main character, who I constantly forget the name of, I think it's like Oba or something like that, Shuzo, meets up with Osamu Dazai, the author of the book.
Oh,
and they help.
That's meta.
They help each other.
So basically, you're telling me it is a shot-for-shot remake of the ending to Boldly Flee, where the nostalgia critic meets Doug Walker.
Exactly. You get it. It was actually exactly. In fact, To Boldly Flee was just a giant reference to No Longer Human.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so they meet each other in a psych ward. And of course, they're like doppelgangers of each other. Like they look almost exactly alike. Little small differences. But they end up talking about their experiences, they connect with each other, and they help each other cope. And then the main character gets released, along with his cousin, who then becomes his wife, because they had a kid together in the beginning of the story.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Yep. Incest baby.
And then years pass, and Dazai starts getting depressed again.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, oh, let me go visit my friend, see how he's doing, and maybe that'll reinvigorate me a little bit. So he goes over to where Dazai lives, which is like in the middle of the woods now, like kind of just isolated from the rest of society, only to find out that his wife abuses him to the point where he's just I can't say like indifferent, but more so like content
Okay.
with being in this situation. Almost like, yeah, I deserve this.
Oh, the worst type of man.
Yeah. And then Dazai goes into despair and ends up, and this is how the story begins and ends up tying himself, like him and his wife go to the river, drink a little, tie each other together, throw themselves in the river and drown. And that's how the story ends, and also technically begins. But here's the thing that chilled me to my core after I was done reading that. That actually happened.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That is how, very shortly after No Longer Human, the book came out, Dazai did that. Like, exact thing. Like, him and
That's
his wife
fucking
did a double
fascinating.
suicide.
You know what? That's fucking fascinating because Mishima did the same thing.
Mhm.
He wrote a story that was very much him venting his frustrations, and then he killed himself in that manner.
That's
Like
insane.
20 years later.
Jeez.
Except it was kind of, as I said, he's kind of the opposite. Mishima was very much about masculinity and very right-wing. But he was also Japan's best writer. Like, he was just internationally known, and like everyone was like, he writes like a poet. He could speak English, Italian, French. He was like a master of everything that he did. Well, he was very upset because he couldn't join the Japanese army during World War II. Like, he had dreams and visions of, he was swept up in the propaganda, dying gloriously for the emperor, you know, during World War II. The problem is he had tuberculosis, like an acute case of it. Like, it just never completely went away. So he was very weak, very frail. And so they said, no, you can't join. Which is hands down the most fateful moment in his life. Because he obsessed with better, like, making himself a stronger human being physically after that. And he translated a lot of that into the characters in his books. To the point where he made one film which is just about how beautiful seppuku is.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the romanticization of it. And how he formed his own army. Like, he legit had a bunch of people that kind of agreed with him, and he formed them into a little army. And because he was such a national symbol, the Japanese army, the JSDF, just let him join them. Like, you can use our courses. Wow. Sure. And what happened was he picked the most radical people out of that. And he himself, they all went into this army base, and they threw a coup d'etat. They tried to throw a coup d'etat. And it failed miserably, and Mishima ended up killing himself by seppuku.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a movie and wrote a book where it ends with the character killing himself via seppuku as the most beautiful, honorable thing. And he played the character in the film. He directed it, wrote it, directed it. And Criterion released it. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but laugh at that. Well, not at that, but at the fact that
I know.
you were talking about like how the author ended up doing exactly what he wrote in the book.
Yeah, here's what I want to clarify. I don't know if it's in the original book, but it's in Junji Ito's adaptation.
Okay, gotcha.
Because, to be frank, I haven't gotten to the end of the book yet. I'm still in the middle of reading it.
Okay.
But it's still, it's so, even just with the adaptation, like, it's still, for one thing, it's like when you just read it as something like, oh, this is just part of the story.
Yeah, okay.
But then you realize that on the front of the book, like when you're done reading it, it says, based on the novel by Osamu Dazai, and you're like, wait a minute, that was a character in the story. And then, you do a little bit more research, and then you find out that the last part of the story actually happened.
That's meta.
A little bit, but I love that shit. It's interesting to me. I don't know if it's in the book or if it's Junji Ito playing with the idea that the protagonist and Dazai are almost one and the same.
Yeah. I bet you that's what it was going on.
Yeah, if that's what Junji Ito was like going for, like, fuck yeah, Junji Ito. Like, he's so fucking good. What a fucking storyteller.
He is.
Honestly.
Fucked up people usually are.
Yeah. I think No Longer Human is bounds and leaps better than Uzumaki.
I love Uzumaki.
I know, dude. I also love Uzumaki, and I also love Tomie.
Which one was that?
But Tomie was about the girl that whoever fell in love with her ended up going crazy.
Oh, that's just tragic.
Oh, it is.
That's like Greek tragedy written all over it.
Oh, definitely. Especially since it was the kind of thing where it was like, a lot of the time it was like, it was this girl who was so beautiful that like almost every man she came in contact with was captivated by her. And they fall in love with her so much that not only do they go crazy, they try to kill her because of it.
This isn't the one that I thought it was. Okay. Do you know anything about what Martin Smith is talking about? I know this is not... Yeah, the Drifting Classroom. Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about it, because I ain't got a clue.
Okay, I can describe this to you so easily. Are you ready?
Yes.
It's Lord of the Flies in a school.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah, you told me about this before, yeah.
It's so... I read the whole fucking series. It is so good.
That being said, Lord of the Flies is one of my favorite books of all time. Lord of the Flies is fucking amazing.
I love Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. I think that was my favorite book we read that year. And we had a entire class. I don't know what the fuck was it, but that teacher knew his books. Knew the books that would captivate us the most. It was like 1984, Animal Farm,
good shit.
Logan's Run, and Lord of the Flies. And I fucking loved Lord of the Flies.
Let me tell you, the teacher that I had when we were reading Lord of the Flies was the most shittiest fucking English teacher I've ever fucking had.
That's so sad.
The scene where the kid with the glasses gets
Piggy.
fucking sodomized.
Yeah, Piggy.
It wasn't
Yeah.
the kid with the glasses.
It wasn't the kid with... It was Piggy.
No.
I thought Piggy got...
The kid with the glasses is Piggy.
What?
The kid with the glasses is Piggy.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he died.
Yeah, he
Piggy
died.
gets killed. Piggy gets killed.
Yeah.
Was it the Jesus
one
guy?
kid that-
Was it the Jesus character that gets sodomized?
I think so. They like ram a fucking wooden stake up his
He's
ass.
not Jesus. I just want to say that, but he's clearly
Yeah, no.
a Christ-like figure where he's really he's a golden boy, and he's now going through the trials that Jesus went through. You know, being whipped 39 times, or I think it was 39 times, and the crown of thorns and stuff like that. It's clearly him. Yeah.
But either way, there's a character that gets fucking sodomized in the book, like one of the kids, and she tried to like tell us that that's not what was happening. Like, she tried to convince us that they were like what was...
Just stabbing.
Yeah, they were just stabbing him.
No, they're sodomizing him. Don't sugarcoat
It's like,
it. They're
no.
sodomizing
It's
him.
like Exactly. It's like we know what's going on. Like, don't fucking treat us like fucking idiots.
We had that with Sounder. I had a very good teacher when we read Sounder, which is a very racially charged book. You know, it's about a family. It's about a kid in 1920s. It's either Louisiana or South Carolina. I can't remember which one it is. But the book is named after the dog Sounder, who's a beagle. And it's a hard book to read. And the N-word is in it a lot.
As it be.
Yeah. And I remember asking my teacher, I was like, what does this mean? It's in this book all the time.
Oh, yeah. I think you've told this story on What Are We Talking About?
Yeah. And he was like, what does this mean? And, which, by the way, I'm editing that episode we did, the 2 Truths, 1 Lie. I'm editing that. That's going to come out. So then we can restart doing it, just virtually.
Yeah.
But, anyways, I said to the teacher, what does this mean? And all the teachers freaked the fuck out. Except for
Because you actually said the word.
Because I said the word. And they all start freaking out. But then my teacher, Mr. DuPont, he was like, no, chill. We're reading this. He doesn't know what it means. He's asking.
He's legitimately just asking a fucking question.
He's just asking a question. How's the kid supposed to learn if he can't ask questions?
Legit.
Oh, it was great. I was blessed. In hindsight, I was blessed with good teachers. Very good teachers. For most.
Mine were very hit and miss. It depended on the subject. It depended on the year.
Yeah.
I think the best English teacher I've had was my English teacher that was he was my senior year AP literature teacher, because he is the teacher that actually made me like books.
Okay.
Because
props.
Before that, I was like, I don't like English. I don't like this class. I'm very bored by it. I don't like reading. And then I actually read good books, or at least more consistently interesting books.
You know about Raycroft or
Pereira.
That's just it. I noticed that a lot of English...
Raycroft was good, too. Raycroft was really good as well.
I noticed a lot of English teachers would pick very boring books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. No, I had one teacher named Raycroft that was also very good. He was hilarious. Had very dry sense of humor.
But
he was also very
my
good.
Shakespeare.
He taught me how to write essays.
My Shakespeare teacher was smart enough to say, we're not going to read Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer's Night Dream because those are boring. We're going to read Julius Caesar. We're going to read King Lear. We're going to read Macbeth.
Nice.
And
dude.
what I loved about him was he said, we're not going to read it. We're going to act it.
We're going to act it. Yeah!
And I'm like, this is great. This is great. I'm a sucker for Shakespeare. I am. I know that's snobbish, I guess you can kind of say, or pretentious, but I love Julius Caesar. I love that play. A lot. I just think it's a wonderful character study of actual historical figures. Not very accurate, don't get me wrong, but still a really fun thing to really study. And I'm like, this is great. I was like, he understood it. It's like, Shakespeare's not supposed to be read. It's supposed to be a mixture of seen and heard.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, look, you can't... Shakespeare's hard to understand. He is. It's hard to understand, especially with how we have digested things since then, when it came out. And hearing it and seeing how the actors act with it totally helps you understand what's going on.
Yeah, it changes it completely.
Yeah. That was wonderful. That was one of my favorite classes. I thought I was going to fucking hate that class. I really did. And I was like, no, I looked forward to it when I had it. I was like, yeah, we get to kill Julius Caesar today.
Dude. But yeah, in my literature class, the first 4 books that we read, and it wasn't even in class, it was the summer reading beforehand. Which was lame at the time, but they were really good books.
Oh, good. Because mine were Jane Austen.
Mine were Siddhartha.
Oh shit!
Which was good.
Like Siddhartha Gautama the Buddha.
Yes.
Oh my god. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah, that was good. The Centaur by John Updike.
Wait, hold on. If you read Siddhartha, does that mean you got to actually read the "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds" line?
I think so.
That's definitely in it.
I remember that.
Which ties back to Godzilla. All right.
Yeah, I read the Centaur, which was good. At the time, I hated it, but then I learned to appreciate it.
Is that the one where there's no centaur in it?
Technically, no. It's about a guy who constantly thinks he's gonna die.
Yeah, never mind. This wasn't the one that I thought it was gonna be. It's not the one that I thought it was.
There was Catcher in the Rye.
I love that book.
I also love that book.
I also love it because of South Park. The poop that took a pee and that, it made me appreciate it more. because I'm like, I get it. Okay, okay, I get it now. and you know, it did make me want to kill John. It made me
Kill John
Lennon. Yeah.
I love that fucking joke with Butters.
He's dead.
He's like, he's dead. Shut. All right, Dad, I'm gonna go kill John Lennon.
Have you ever had a book that you thought was overrated? Because I just finished Dracula and I thought it kind of dragged in some parts. I don't like the book Dracula. I don't. The book Dragula by Rob Zombie is a different story, but Dracula,
The
no.
song Dragula, peak.
Well, you're talking to the guy whose favorite adaptation of Dracula is the Hammer version, which is the least followed. You know, with Christopher Lee being a fucking badass.
Oh
God,
yes.
he's terrifying. Like unlike
It is.
you know how Bela Lugosi is really refined whenever he played.
Yeah, he's very
Believe it or not, he only played Dracula twice. Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
The first Dracula and then Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. But he played vampires in other horror movies, but never Dracula. But he's very refined in that. Christopher fucking Lee is he starts off refined, but the moment those fangs show up, he is an animal.
He's insane. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome. And he's jumping on tables, and he's stabbing people, and he's he's got the bloodshot eyes too, and I'm like,
Let me tell you, kind of unrelated, but also kind of related because of who we're talking about. It is so weird to hear Christopher Lee's voice in Kingdom Hearts.
oh yeah, I forgot he's in it.
He plays fucking Diz and Ansem the Wise.
Yeah, because of
And it's
course he did.
Christopher fucking Lee?
He's also a death metal singer. Christopher Lee, at the age of 98, he was in a death metal band.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It was fucking great.
Why is this dude a badass?
Yeah,
He gets killed by Anakin.
He was a
created
fucking he was a trained assassin in World War II.
Holy
You know,
shit.
he was kind of a spy. He was almost actually a count. This
Oh my god.
fucking Christopher Lee is one of the most interesting men to have ever lived. In Lord of the Rings, I know you haven't seen it, but there's a scene where
He plays Gandalf. Right?
yeah, he plays Gandalf.
Yeah.
Where Christopher Lee, he dies. All right, sorry to spoil it, but he dies. And a character stabs him in the back, right? And Peter Jackson had it where blood comes out and he screams, and Christopher Lee went, "No, that's not how it works. When you stab somebody in the back," and he went through it meticulously. When you stab someone with the back, it's like puncturing a hole in a balloon or in a football. It's a quick and then they're gone. And Peter Jackson was apparently like, okay. And that's what's in the movie. That's what's in the movie. Is him is something he gets stabbed in the back and you see him go and then fall, and I'm like, that's what a badass. But it's really funny because both him and Peter Cushing, two of the, in my opinion, the most greatest horror icons of all time, best friends. They were like biffles, like in real life. And it's really funny because they were known to just tear apart the scripts that they were given. And Christopher Lee was known about being very harsh about it. Peter Cushing was always very eloquent with it. Like, if you look at the scripts where they put notes on it, you would see, like, Peter Cushing would write in cursive, like, let's change this line to this. And he would kind of, like, scratch it out, and then he would write it underneath it very neatly and very elegantly, like, to help him as an actor. Like, he would write down the director's notes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee's was like, giant X, no. It's comical looking at the differences between the two, even though they're like best buds.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Peter Cushing also played Frankenstein, right?
He was.
Like the
he
doctor?
played Baron Frankenstein in
Yeah.
Hammer's Frankenstein films, because the Universal Horror Frankenstein movies, though it has stuff to do with the Frankenstein family, they're mainly referring to the monster as Frankenstein.
Yeah, where Hammer is
Hammer,
more so the
it's
doctor.
the Doctor, hands down.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I like them so much, is because each movie is like a further descent into madness on his part.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. it's beautiful.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because like if you take like the main characters of both of those movies in Hammer, where you have Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing,
well,
Dracula and Frankenstein.
well, Christopher Lee hated playing Dracula. He hated it.
yeah, that.
Peter Cushing loved playing Baron Frankenstein, and it shows.
It shows.
It does. It
Yeah.
shows. But Christopher Lee plays the monster in Curse of Frankenstein, the first Frankenstein movie that Hammer did. Christopher Lee plays the monster in that. Not that he did much in it, but he plays the monster in it.
But yeah, it's interesting that they're best friends, but then you go over to Universal where you have Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff, yeah.
And Bela Lugosi always saw him as like an enemy.
Yeah, well, Bela Lugosi got fucked. He got fucked over.
Well, he really did.
He really did. For no reason. For really no reason. He was just didn't want to wear that makeup for that one movie. And then that movie was...
And that was Frankenstein.
It's really interesting watching Bela Lugosi's Dracula and then the Spanish Dracula back to back. Because the Spanish Dracula was made on the same sets with the same script, just with Spanish actors and Spanish directors.
Mm-hmm. And it's just...
And they are fascinating to watch back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Spanish version is better. The issue with the Spanish version is that it doesn't have Bela Lugosi. Because Bela Lugosi is just so fucking good.
Well, he's the iconic Dracula.
He is.
Like, we could say how great Christopher Lee is as Dracula, but like, when you think Dracula, you think of Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, you do. As much as I want to say it's Christopher fucking Lee, it's not. It's Bela Lugosi. No. It's like Frankenstein. You don't think of Peter Cushing as Frankenstein. You think Boris Karloff as the monster. Karloff. Yeah.
Where you get those pretentious fucks that are like, Frankenstein's the doctor, not the monster.
Well, in the Hammer films, yes.
Well, in everything, yes.
Technically, yeah. Now, you know what's really interesting is that, like, Universal remade Phantom of the Opera in the 40s, and it's with Claude Rains, the Invisible Man. He plays the Phantom. Yeah. It's actually pretty good. But Hammer also remade Phantom of the Opera, and it's weird. But it's one of those cases where what it gets right, it gets really right. Particularly the Phantom. I thought they did a wonderful job with that. In the Hammer one, the Phantom actually doesn't kill anybody. Yeah, it's this other guy that's killing people, and the Phantom gets blamed for it. So the Phantom's actually a good guy in that one, more than anything else. But it's very interesting. And then Hammer's the Mummy. Like everyone, you think of the Mummy gets resurrected and he goes on a revenge rampage where he just starts killing people. That's the typical Mummy movie. That trope started because of the Mummy's sequel, not the original Mummy. In many ways, the Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser, is actually a remake of that first Mummy movie with Boris Karloff.
I was gonna say that was also Boris.
Yeah, that was Boris Karloff. Everyone sees him as that wrapped up mummy. He's only in that one scene with that makeup. For the rest of the time, he's just Boris Karloff.
Yeah, isn't he just he's just a guy.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I really enjoy it. Yeah, and then there was the Wolfman. The Hammer Wolfman movie is amazing.
Lon Chaney.
Well, no, that's the Universal one.
Oh, that's
Universal is Lon Chaney Jr., which is also amazing. But the Hammer movie called Curse of the Werewolf is so fucking good. It's a tragedy in every way, shape, and form. And ironically, the werewolf doesn't show up in that movie until I think the last 15 minutes of the film, really show up until the last 15 minutes of the film. But it doesn't matter because you love the characters. You feel so bad for these characters, and I'm like, this is great. This is wonderful.
I love how Martin is inting me right now.
Well, you should. You need to watch them.
I know I need to watch them, okay? There's a lot of movies I gotta watch. Name a movie. I probably haven't watched it. And make it... You know what? Let's play a game. Name a mainstream movie that everyone's seen. Let's see if I've seen it.
Citizen Kane.
I've seen
There you go.
it.
I just wanted to show you this before we went on that rant about Universal horror movies for no fucking reason. And Junji Ito and everything. Everything but what I wanted to show you.
Uh-huh.
That was one of was one of the locations I was at.
Wow.
And like, look how fucking colorful that is.
That's so cool.
Oops.
Wow. Holy shit.
Like, it's just colorful. Like, look how colorful
Really?
that is. And I'm like, I love it here.
Is that just someone's house?
No, this is a school.
Okay.
That
just looks like a house.
It is. It's they do something in there. I can't remember what it was, but it's a recreation thing because this is a middle school, high school.
Yeah.
So it kind of has to do multiple things. So. But I love Thanksgiving.
Woo.
I just love food. I love food. I love seeing family. I really just enjoy Thanksgiving, and I think Thanksgiving deserves more love as a holiday.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Fucking love Christmas.
Oh yeah. Well, it has the disadvantage of being a strictly American holiday,
This is true. This is true.
where Halloween and Christmas are worldwide.
But yeah, I suppose so. And also, they're just so much more memorable holidays too.
Yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
Halloween. You dress up, you get candy, you watch.
It's
scary
time for the
movies.
spoopy stuff to come out. You know.
Yeah, Halloween stores pop up. You get fucking skeletons and costumes and wigs and fake blood and all these decorations.
All the
tablecloths.
decorations. Yay.
And you got Christmas, where it's like you get presents and Santa Claus and Christmas movies and
And you get the full.
Oh my
you
God.
get the Full House intro.
yeah. Also, like, oh god, they're really gonna be playing the Rankin Bass movies like
They should.
so hard. They should, obviously.
They should. That guy. Well, him and Jules. Jules
Yeah.
Bass, and then there was Arthur Rankin, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They did a lot. They did a lot of that stuff. They did more than that. I mean, they did cartoons, they did TV shows, they did a lot more than just those Christmas stuff, but they defined Christmas.
They honestly like it's insane that like every classic Christmas movie
Kind of owes
is them.
to
Is
them.
them.
Yeah, totally, 100%. I have a little bit left in this.
Rudolph, fucking. Why am I blanking right now?
Frosty.
Because I'm fucking stupid. Yeah, Frosty.
Frosty, yeah.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Fucking Santa Claus is Coming to Town's a masterpiece.
Is really good. Burgermeister Meisterburger.
I've been bamboozled. It was sad. I was sad because, you know, he's also important from the kaiju perspective as well, because he brought a lot of those movies over to the West as well.
Yeah.
The biggest one being King Kong Escapes. Like he's the reason they gave Toho money to make that movie, for good and for bad. And a bunch of other ones too. It's very prolific bunch of people were those guys. But yeah.
Speaking of people who died, you hear about Aaron Carter?
Who's Aaron Carter?
He was a singer that was more popular like in the 90s. He made a lot of songs for the Jimmy Neutron movie.
Okay.
He was also the brother of Nick Carter from NSYNC.
Okay.
He died at 35 today.
Oh, how sad.
Man, this is nuts.
Why is everybody dying? Because Betty White died.
It's because of Betty
Yeah.
White. Like, it's just a chain
Yeah,
reaction.
it's a chain reaction.
Now, Betty White was like the celebrity, like immortality key.
Yes,
and now
she's gone. Yeah, it was her.
Actually, she was only half of the key. The other half was Stan Lee.
No, I was gonna say the Queen of England.
No. Betty White was the key master. Stan Lee was fucking Zool.
Oh God.
And the Queen was fucking Gozer.
Who's Gozer? Oh, the queen died.
Let's go into a period of mourning.
Oh god. As with tradition.
As per tradition.
As per tradition.
And now,
She's now going to
the
dip her
contestant
hands
fat-
in the giant batter pudding. As with tradition.
As per tradition. And then she's going to quaff on his face. As per tradition. Very good.
I love how all their fart sounds are literally them just going into the microphone.
Yeah.
Like, that's so funny to me. Like, that's so funny. Like you know the Human Centipede episode, whenever they're shitting into Kyle's mouth.
Yeah.
It's literally just him going.
Yeah. Like, as I can imagine it being stressful, but also like that's gotta be like the most fun show in the world to watch.
Well, I love watching them at the beginning of the season versus the end of the season. Like,
Yeah.
just how, like...
Oh,
we
God.
gotta come up with another episode. Fuck.
I don't know.
And I love listening to them.
Stan is in the middle of an economic apocalypse, and all he wants to do is return to Margaritaville.
That's so great. They won an Emmy for that.
It was a great episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode. I know... What's really funny is listening to them on their audio commentaries being like, we're out of ideas, because all of a sudden we'll have an idea of something to do, and then, oh, we did that already.
They're Simpsons didn't it to themselves, damn.
Well, now they're getting really meta. Like,
Yeah.
like the streaming wars, and how it's not really about streaming services, it's about water,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's clearly about streaming services.
streaming services. Yeah.
It's pretty smart. I can't believe they got $1 billion for that deal.
That's
$1 billion. Just for the streaming rights.
That's so crazy.
Good for them. Did
Honestly.
you watch their 25th anniversary concert?
The only part I've seen is Kyle's mom's a bitch.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It is literally just them saying, fuck it, let's just jam.
Hell yeah.
And it's so cute because there's a part where Trey messes up. Like, he just messes up. And he forgets the words or something. But the crowd keeps singing.
Mm-hmm.
And he almost starts crying.
Oh my god.
Because he's like, I can't believe... And, like, throughout the entire thing, he's like, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And like, at the beginning of the show, he says, I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting up on a stage here with Primus and Ween singing this. And he sings a love rock ballad version of Uncle Fucker.
Oh my god.
And he does it like that great gig in the sky from Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the
Floyd.
Moon.
Yeah.
But it's Shut Your Fucking Face, Uncle Fucker.
Oh my god.
And it's awesome. It is so funny. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker. And like there's lights going off. There's a choir.
That's so good.
There's a fucking choir. I like, this is beautiful.
Oh my god. What was it?
Ah.
Speaking of adult cartoons, as much as this show has gone down the toilet, have you seen what happened lately in Family Guy?
No.
So there was an episode. I don't really know the entire premise. I've only seen clips from the episode. But essentially, the premise is that I guess Lois wants Peter to eat her out. So they go to like a
Okay.
like a couples counselor hypnotist, essentially. And essentially every time they hear this part of like the song, Peter will just do it. And he'll envision that he's licking ice cream when he's actually just licking a pussy. But then Lois's mom gets sick. And they go to their house and they help take care of her.
Oh no.
And then he hears the song on the TV. And it turns into Lois like this beautifully animated segment of her running up the stairs to be like, Peter, no! Peter, no! Stop! And then, like, she makes it up to the room, bursts the door, and she screams Peter's name in probably the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard in Family Guy. And then the scene that happens directly after, and this is shocking. Like, we make fun of Family Guy all the time for explaining the joke and for having the joke go on for too long. The scene that comes directly after is them driving home.
Oh.
During the middle of, like, they're driving home, they aren't saying a word. Lois's mom calls. They don't answer it. And they're just driving home. Peter turns on the radio, and it has a song that could be taken as an innuendo for doing that. So they turn it off. And then the rest of it is just a quiet ride home. With no words.
The rest of the episode?
Not for the rest of the episode,
damn it.
just for this scene.
That would have been funny if just the rest of the
Yeah.
episode was just a drive sequence of them just staring in silence.
They make it home. Meg is watching TV.
Oh.
The song plays again. And she goes, Peter, no! And then that's just the end of the scene. They don't explain the joke. They let a joke sit. They let it be quiet. They fucking did it.
Wow.
Family Guy had a good scene.
I mean, that's really fucked up.
Yes.
But sure.
But like I feel like with what you would think of modern Family Guy is that Peter would do that and like it would be shrugged off by the next scene. But they treat it as seriously as if as that should be treated. And it's like, Family Guy did that? Since when does Family Guy do that?
I gotta see it. I'm sold. I love fucked up humor. I'm sold. Oh boy. Well, man. I think I'm gonna wrap this up.
That's good by
It
me.
was a good live stream.
Oh yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Everybody.
I'm gonna watch it.
You're gonna watch it.
I have to watch it now. I'm sold.
You at least have to hear Lois scream. It's
Yeah,
insane.
okay. Okay. I'm gonna do it now.
Go ahead. It's all over fucking YouTube.
I know he has sex with Bonnie.
Yeah, I think that was... No, I mean, I don't know how that episode concludes, but I know there's one episode with Bonnie where he eats her cooking and they treat it like that.
Ah, got it. Oh god, it's one of those things where it's zooming in obnoxiously every 5 seconds and then zooming out every 5 seconds. I have to find it. Oh, they don't have it.
No way. Hold up. I can find it. Hold up.
Motherfuckers. I am gone, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I am. Everything is sweet. Oh, it's one of those again. I still just love how professional this live stream started. And here I am. 3 hours later.
I found it. I'll send it to you.
You sent it?
Yeah, I'm about to send it.
Facebook or Skype?
On Skype.
Yes, we still use Skype. Fuck off.
I literally only use Skype for this.
Pretty much, yeah.
Everything else we just use Discord.
Hey, Babs. Celebrity news, pro. Celebrity news. What time is it? 7:30. Stop. Peter. Oh my god, that scream. Oh, Bonnie looks so... not Bonnie. Mrs. Peterschmidt looks so happy.
Yeah, well, I mean...
I have to listen to that scream again. That was great.
It's so, like... Oh my god.
Peter's always had a great scream. Seth MacFarlane's always had a good scream.
Oh, yeah.
Just driving home. Wow.
Right?
That is so much funnier than them making a joke. Or like explaining it, just letting them sit there.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing when we were doing Adam, Matt, and Antonio, or whatever the fuck we were gonna call it.
Oh, take 3.
Yeah, take 3, which I still want to do. I still want to do.
course.
We'll find a way to do this.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
And where it's like there's several episodes where it's just us sitting
Yeah.
after some shit just happened. Just
Yeah.
for like 5 minutes. That's all it is. It's just us sitting there.
Like with this bit in Family Guy,
This
like
is
I
good.
feel
This is
like
good.
I feel like usual modern Family Guy would have some shit like she tastes like Robitussin, like some shit like that. I ate out your mom.
I love the meme, by the way, that's going around right now, where it's like, PETA, the horse is here.
The horse is in the room. Yeah.
It's like really creepy. Holy fuck, I'm not
like,
late.
Dramatic pause.
Holy fuck, I'm not. Master Video Studios is here. Holy fuck, I'm not late. And my boy, we're about to wrap up.
Wait, y'all watching Family?
Yeah, we're watching Family Guy.
That's it. That's our 24-hour stream when we eventually do it. It's just us. It's just gonna be watching us watch through as much Family Guy that we could watch in 24 hours.
I genuinely love this idea. I genuinely love this idea. But don't show any of the Family Guy.
No. It's just us.
Just us. I love this idea. I love it. Peter. I want that to be my ringtone. So blood curdling.
It really, like, why did Alex Borstein go so hard?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping this out. Sorry, bro, I was at work. Hey, man, the video on demand's gonna be here. You can watch that at any time you want.
Right after this stream ends.
Yeah. Well, Antonio, thank you for joining me. This was, as per usual, not what I was expecting. I was honestly expecting us to play some Reddit 50-50, but I'm kind of happy that we didn't. I would love to play Reddit 50-50 again, don't get me wrong, but I just was kind of like, I'm not vibing it. I don't think it's gonna... Maybe for the Christmas stream.
We usually find. Oh God, Christmas.
The Christmas streams tend to go crazy. They tend to be
Facts.
crazy.
Nah, man. Usually when we come on, like we just find some shit to talk about. We just go. Anyways, everybody. Whew. I have somebody under the desk right now. How they doing?
Doing wonderful. No, I'm just kidding.
I come up like this, and then I just like come up in your frame.
Whoa! Whoa! Anyways, everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, if you guys missed me talking about the Godzilla stuff, the first hour of the stream was just me devoted to that, being 100% serious, not joking about. 100% was just that. Antonio, why don't you pimp yourself up while we
Okie dokie. Hey, I got a YouTube channel called Game Controller Network that you can subscribe to on YouTube and also follow on Twitter. I'm actually going to be streaming. I stream 3 times a week. I stream on Tuesday, I stream on Wednesday, and I stream on Thursday. Starting next week, all of my streams are going to be Sonic Frontiers because I'm hyped for that game. A lot of people seem to like my Sonic streams, so I'm just going to stream that game as much as I can until I complete it. So make sure you tune in for that shit. And I also have a channel called Dubasses where I do voice acting, so subscribe there too. Hello?
Like, this is Adam.
Are you? Oh.
This is Adam of ANP Productions. Nah, I'm not really that bad. I'm just putting on a face.
You're a phony!
Big fat phony.
Big fat phony.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm really, if I'm being honest, really trying to do this once a month again. The first Saturday of every month, I really want to start doing the live stream again, because I did that for, I think, 2 years consistently, and then I just sort of fell off. I want to bring that back again.
Let's go.
Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Sayonara.